Good morning and welcome to our October 7th Board of County Commissioner meeting. We are delighted to have you join us this morning. Please join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Deputy Joseph DeCiato, who is a U.S. Marine, and then he's going to tell us a little bit about his service as a Marine. Now let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me. I feel very honored to be here. My name is Joseph DeCiato. I've been in the Martin County Sheriff's Office for 11 years. Prior to that, I did serve in the United States Marine Corps, 2008, 2012. Did boot camp at Parris Island, South Carolina. I was stationed in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. I served with 2nd Light Armor Reconnaissance Battalion, an infantry unit. And I deployed to Afghanistan for most of 2011. Came back, 2012, I got out. Shortly after that, I went to the police academy, and I've been with the sheriff's office since 2014.
Terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. And Parris Island. That's where my dad was.
There are, let's see, the agenda includes an additional item, which is Consent 12, which is a request to execute updated cooperation agreement with the Army Corps of Engineers for the Hutchinson Island Shore Protection Project. And there's a request to withdraw Department 3, which was a request to approve proposed changes to the Martin County Art and Public Places Program Manual and Program Update. Is there a motion to?
I'll move approval of the agenda with additional item, consent number 12, and withdrawal of departmental number 3.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously, and with all motions today, we will acknowledge that Commissioner Vargas is absent today. We will begin with proclamations. The first proclamation is a proclamation recognizing the 100th anniversary of the historic Apollo School in Martin County.
Good morning, Commissioners. Upon his appointment to develop Olympia, famed architect Maurice Fatio spoke of a considerable development, including a school. As Olympia School, the structure is listed on the National Register of Historic Places and the Martin County Local Register of Historic Places. Whether recognized by its most recent name, the Historic Apollo School, or by any of its earlier names, the building continues to serve the community as a center for cultural, educational, and historical activities and events. October 19th is designated to celebrate the 100th anniversary of the historic Apollo School, and the board extends sincere appreciation to the Apollo School Foundation for their efforts in continuing the building's historic legacy. And here to accept, we have Kathy Spurgeon with the Apollo School Foundation, along with some other folks with her.
Good morning, Sarah. Thank you very much. You'll have a picture after.
We will.
This is why you all are here. I've timed this, so I can't thank you individually, so I'm going to say thank you all. Thank you for recognizing the historic Apollo School in this significant way. We are proud to share our centennial with Martin County and with other historic buildings in Martin County. Unlike many others of those buildings, though, the Apollo School is privately owned and privately funded. It is not taxpayer funded. We raise all the money, and believe me, we spend it all. For those not familiar with the building, it's no longer used as a schoolhouse. We provide cultural and educational activities in a historical setting, and half the building is sort of a humble museum. It's a repository of tangible memories of Hobe Sounders. The Apollo School Foundation is run by a board of directors whose volunteer hours total in the thousands annually. There are no paid staff. We are supported by a caring and generous community, several of whom are here today. Thank you, too, for your support of historic preservation. As a board, you have shown that you appreciate the benefits that come from preserving some of our most precious assets. But the opposite is happening in Hobe Sound right now. A historic Camp Murphy building on Bridge Road will be razed, that's with a Z, to make way for a mixed-use 3-story building that is an incongruity in Hobe Sound. It's sad that that historic building will never celebrate its centennial. Speaking of centennials, which of course is why we're here, I'd like to invite you to our centennial celebration. Laura mentioned it, Music, Memories, Milestones. It's Sunday, October 19th at 4 o'clock at the Apollo School site, and it's free. Children from the Boys and Girls Clubs, Hobe Sound Elementary School, the Pine School will be represented, as well as Boy Scout Troop 812. Music will be provided by the Pine Knights of Steel and the Rowdy Mix. And I'm proud to say our speakers include Blake Capps and former State Senate President Joe Negron. To close, I'd like to quote Richard Moe from the National Trust for Historic Preservation. Preservation is simply having the good sense to hold on to the things that are well designed, that link us to our past in a meaningful way, and that have plenty of good use left in them. We think the Apollo School fits all these categories, and thank you for this recognition. Can I have it for one more second?
Yes.
I'd like to call up our friends and our board members, my long-suffering husband, Jim, Russ Overholt, June Overholt, Phyllis Parker, Sue Ellen Milroy, Peggy Wagner.
Excellent.
Thank you very much. Yes, we should. Yes, absolutely. These are, I guess, do I have to give to you or to you? These are invitations. There's one for each of the board, and then there's one extra. You can fight over it. Can we hold this, or would you hold this or something?
Let's stand over here.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I might mention that some of these folks here are some of the Hobe Sound's finest.
So are you.
Thank you all for bringing the Apollo School back to life. Our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring Fire Prevention Week in Martin County.
Martin County Fire Rescue personnel are dedicated to reducing the occurrence of home fires and home fire injuries through prevention, education, and community risk assessment. The Fire Prevention Week theme this year, Charge Into Fire Safety, Lithium-ion batteries in your home, educates people on how to safely use these batteries. In recognizing October 5th through the 11th as Fire Prevention Week, the board commends the men and women of Martin County's fire prevention and fire rescue divisions for their efforts to educate the public in fire prevention practices. And here to accept, we have Josh Jenkins, who's Community Risk Reduction Specialist with the Fire Prevention Division, along with Fire Marshal Doug Collane and Deputy Fire Marshal Chris Hansen. Come on up.
Before you chat, can I throw something right? Of course.
Sure.
Of course. Real quick. Good morning. Doug Collane, Fire Marshal. I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge and show my appreciation to the Fire Prevention Division, since we only get to come here once a year. I wanted to call out Deputy Fire Marshal Chris Hansen, Josh Jenkins, Community Risk Reduction. We have 3 inspectors, which don't get seen often, Bo Majors, Rick Hennessy, and Marcus Reyna, and our support staff back at the office who very rarely get recognized. We have Christina Epperhart, we have Nancy Aguirre, We have Danielle Highnote, Kelsey Strauss, and L'Oreal Dam, and I think that's everybody. And if I could, County Administrator, Fire Chief Chad Chanchuli, and Deputy Chief Rodney Robinson have helped to grow and allow us to do the job that we're doing right now, so we're very appreciative. So I will take a seat, and I will let Josh introduce the Fire Prevention Week theme. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. It's always an honor to come and be here with you and our audience. So I'm Josh Jenkins, Community Risk Reduction Specialist. And so this year's Fire Prevention Week theme, Charge into Fire Safety. A little bit about why we're here first. So since 1922, our governing body, the NFPA, has sponsored the observance of Fire Prevention Week. In 1925, President Calvin Coolidge proclaimed that this shall be a national observance, making Fire Prevention Week the longest-running public health observance in our country's history. So each year, per guidance from the National Fire Administration, fire departments conduct public education events to reduce the risk of casualties by fire. Last fiscal year, our department conducted 185 of these events, impacting audiences of all age levels and all ability levels. We also produce PSA videos like the one that we're going to share today. And also, we produce all kinds of media that we share with the public. I actually brought one of NFPA's safety tip sheets for lithium-ion battery safety in the home, and I left a big stack of those in the lobby for the table if anybody from the audience wants to take some of that information home with them. So without further ado, if we are ready, we'll share our latest PSA regarding lithium-ion safety with the room.
Wind that back.
Pause it, Donna, please.
Tell us what you're saying.
I can do that. Some lessons that we've learned about lithium-ion battery incidents. In the county, we've had quite a few structure fires from lithium-ion battery power tools, hand tools, mobility devices, including bikes, scooters, golf carts, and even one structure fire from a lithium-ion battery-powered air conditioner that I was not aware existed until I looked at a fire report. What we're learning and what the gist of this video is, these incidents occur from an issue that arises with the charging equipment and practices. So, to keep you informed, we made another public safety video.
Okay, I guess it's going.
Good job ad-libbing, though.
You interrupted yourself.
Looking back at the county over the last few years, we have seen structure fires from the use of lithium-ion batteries and their chargers, including electric vehicles, mobility devices like scooters and e-bikes, laptops, portable hand tools like drills and flashlights, holiday decorations, and even battery-powered air conditioners. So we wanted to put together some tips about how to charge safely and some warning signs for things you might encounter with your devices. Number one, we always want you to charge on a flat, dry surface, away from any kids, away from liquids, and never in direct sunlight, because we don't want to introduce any more heat to this device than it generates on its own. We want to make sure there are no flammables anywhere near what you are charging. We don't want you to charge in a garage, say next to a can of gas, for example. We also want to make sure that you use the charger and the cord for each device from the factory. We never want to use any aftermarket charging cords or try to make a charger cord from another device work for this device that they did not come with. Anything with wheels, we want to make sure it does not have an opportunity to roll off of a shelf or to fall, potentially damaging or cracking that battery case. Making sure you do all those things is going to go a long way towards preventing a fire with a lithium-ion battery device. Should you encounter a fire with your lithium-ion battery device, we want you to be aware your typical household ABC type extinguisher is not going to be capable of putting that out. If it is on fire, you're definitely going to need to activate 911 as soon as you possibly can. If that charging device or that battery is producing so much heat that it is uncomfortable for you to touch, that is a bad thing. If there is any bulging or cracking in the battery case, if there are any hissing or popping sounds coming from the charging device or the battery, this is a bad thing and a sign of a fault. We also want you to be aware of any smoke or odors coming out of the battery or the charger, that's an indicator that it is very close to catching on fire. So all of these situations mean that battery and that charger need to be disposed of. We want you to know that it's illegal to dispose of a lithium-ion battery in the trash. That has to be taken to either our hazardous waste collection facility, or if you're out and about in the community, you can look up the schedule for the HazMobile on our website and you can bring it there. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to give us a call. Thank you.
Show your
Scooters and.
Okay, so, yes, ma'am.
Take your time. The girl in the back is the sash on.
Miss Martin County Fair, someone says.
And they hit her head on the TV.
Thank you, ma'am.
How convenient 4-H week is on there right when the fair is here. I didn't even realize that.
Our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring 4-H Week in Martin County.
4-H is America's largest youth development organization, supporting nearly 6 million youth across the country each year. 4-H has helped local youth become confident, independent, resilient, and compassionate leaders. And National 4-H Week, observed October 5th through 11th this year, showcases the incredible experiences that 4-H offers young people and highlights the remarkable 4-H youth in Martin County who work each day to make a positive impact on those around them. And here to accept, obviously, with a bunch of folks, is David Hafner, our 4-H youth development agent.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ian, and I've been a proud member of the 4-H community for 2 years now. When I first joined 4-H, I had no idea how much it would shape my life. It has given me incredible opportunities to learn leadership, responsibility, and service, not just through projects, but by being part of a great community. 4-H encouraged me to step up in my project and work, to lead and learn what it means to make a difference. I've also seen how my brother's 4-H journey, I have 2 younger brothers, has brought our family closer and taught us to appreciate nature, hard work, and take pride in all of the projects we work on. I'm truly grateful for everything 4-H has provided, and I'm honored to stand here today as we celebrate this proclamation, recognizing how 4-H continues to grow future leaders right here in Martin County. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent public speaking.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Ella Morey, and I've been a part of the Martin County 4-H program for going on 9 years now. Now, having been in the program since I was 8 years old, it's safe to say that 4-H has had a huge impact on my life. From my first leadership position as the Feathers and Furs Secretary in 2017 to becoming the 2025-2026 Florida 4-H State Council Treasurer, 4-H has provided me with so many opportunities to grow. Experimenting with all sorts of art, gardening, and livestock projects, my favorite one has without a doubt been public speaking. This year, I was lucky enough to represent Florida 4-H in the Western National Roundup Public Speaking Competition in Colorado. After placing first in the state, I flew there to compete against other state finalists. That day, I placed second in the nation. These opportunities to discuss pollinator issues, thank you. These opportunities to discuss pollinator issues on a larger scale, as well as build an impressive resume, would have never been possible without the program. And it goes without saying that I'm incredibly grateful to be here today to celebrate that. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vera Howe, and I've been a part of Martin County 4-H for about 14 years now. A little bit about me and my 4-H journey is it started off with me very shy. I had a chicken. I don't remember its name, but I was terrified because I had to go show this chicken, and I think it flew away. Anyway, But my journey in 4-H started off as a little shy girl in the show ring who didn't want to go out and go in front of everyone. And now in 2023, I served as the state historian over Florida, and I've had the opportunity to go to like many national events. Just last September, I served as the marketing and promotional over the Southern Region Teen Leadership Conference for 4-H. I've had endless opportunities to go to Washington, D.C. and serve for Florida 4-H and learn all about public speaking, civic engagement, and how to help our community out locally. 4-H has really impacted everyone, and I can say learning all the different livestock abilities and agriculture to music, dancing, art, singing, and leadership is so important to our youth to raise our future generations. And I just want y'all to maybe take a look at 4-H and learn more about what impact it has on everyone. Thank you.
Good luck, David.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hard to go after them, so I don't have much to add because I know they're the stars here. As your Martin County 4-H Youth Development Agent, my job is not to stand out; it's just to open the door. And as you can see, the youth in our program have been running through that door. They're shining examples. When I first came to this job, not quite 3 years ago, Miss Vera here, she said that when she goes to state events, she doesn't want people to say, "Where is Martin County 4-H?" She wants them to say, "I wish I was in Martin County 4-H." And I think through their leadership, we're seeing that. We went 40 years without a state officer. Now we've had 2 in 3 years. We are known on the county, state, national level. Martin County 4-H is known, and it's because of these shining stars behind me.
You have one more that we need.
Anybody else want to address us?
Miss Agriculture is not going to speak. I know what her story is.
Thank you all for representing us so well.
Just a quick question. When you show those animals and the chickens, where do you show them? I didn't hear the answer? Oh, there you go. At the Martin County Fair.
Our next proclamation is a proclamation declaring International Day of Air Traffic Controller in Martin County.
Air traffic controllers work day and night, including weekends and holidays, to keep pilots and their passengers safe. For over 25 years, air traffic controllers at Witham Field have played a crucial role in ensuring the safety and efficiency of aviation operations, making air traffic controllers a critical component of the Martin County aviation industry. International Day of the Air Traffic Controller takes place October 20th and honors those who ensure that air travel remains the safest mode of transport. And the board urges residents to recognize the dedicated men and women who perform this important job each and every day, ensuring the safety of the public. And here to accept, we have Tim Barrett, Air Traffic Manager.
Who are working for free.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tim Barrett. I'm the Air Traffic Manager here at the Stewart Airport. I appreciate the opportunity to come before you today to receive this proclamation. It means a lot to us, to the team back at the tower, and to the career field. A little bit about myself. I've been doing this for a little over 40 years. Spent 20 years in the military, stationed in Texas, Germany, Florida, Bosnia, and England. Retired out of the Air Force, and then took on this further position of continuing air traffic control. Some of you may not know the facility here at Stewart Witham Field is a contract facility. So we provide air traffic services for the FAA to the users of the airport. I've been here as air traffic manager for about 21 years now. I'd also like to thank my team, one of which is here today, Bill Davis. It's a very prestigious field. I wouldn't change what I've done over the past few years for anything. My father was an air traffic controller, which ironically had no bearing on me becoming one, so I'm still trying to figure that out. But again, thank you for the recognition, thank you for the proclamation, and thank you for the recognition of the air traffic control profession.
That's a serious area. You should. If you look up. I could do that. I'll say it right there. Nice job. It was like a
I neglected to mention that we are joined this morning by our esteemed Supervisor of Elections, Vicki Davis. Welcome. Miss Davis is one of our native daughters, and we're very pleased to see you here this morning. I believe you're here to support the fair. And your intern. Yes. It's now time for public comment. The first request to speak form is from Anne Marie Height, followed by David Nickerson.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Anne Marie Height. I'm from Meadow Run Property Managers Association. I am the president of the association, and we have requested a change in our PUD to use the rear access to our neighborhood. Our neighborhood sits on Southwest Citrus Avenue. That's the front gate, and the north end of the community runs down Layton Farms Road. So in this, we have 91 lots. Of 91 lots, we've had unprecedented growth over the last year. We actually have 9 homes under construction, totaling probably about 42 homes under roof by January, February this year. So we are so excited. We have a lot of new families moving in with young kids. So excited to be able to access Layton Farms Road with the soccer farm back there, to be able to them to ride their bikes instead of having to go out Southwest Citrus, then go down more, then come across Southwest Layton Farms Road. They could go directly out our cul-de-sac in the back, out to Layton Farms Road, go right to the community center that's across the street, or go right up to the soccer field. So we're so excited. We're just here to let you know that we have a lot of neighbors that are really excited to look at this another access in case there was an emergency, also just for traffic patterns with Southwest Citrus and just Martin County growing so much. We would love to have a secondary entrance and exit for our residents, our guests, our vendors. So thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. David Nickerson is next, followed by Susan Gibbs Thomas. Susan, would you like to speak on this item at public or on the item itself? Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, fellow commissioners, county administrator and county attorney, and our most precious county staff. I was here about a month ago for the proclamation of October being the Native Plant Month, and we appreciate you for doing that. As you can tell from my shirt, I'm not here for that purpose today, but it is agriculturally related. Full disclosure, I'm probably the most brand-new member of the Martin County Fair Association Board, but I'm not here today to speak for the board. I'm here to speak as a resident fair goer. The fair provides lots of fun and entertainment. How many been to the fair?
I'll have.
Yeah, most of us. But it also provides education on our environment and education, as we learned from the 4-H folks, on agriculture. During the 11 months that the fair is not in operation, the fairgrounds also provides a venue for many, many nonprofits to hold their events. Also, the Fair Association provides scholarships to deserving high school students here in Martin County. Years and years ago, agriculture was the enterprise, more than one enterprise, that made the little city on the river called Potsdam into the county seat of Stuart that we're here today to enjoy. So agriculture has been important. And the fair is an opportunity to bring ag-related plant and animal information and activities to life. There are 2 elements on the agenda further down today that you'll address. 2 elements to that item. The first one is the current lease extension. The 2026 fair will be the 65th fair that the Fair Association is held here on county property. Let's see, 65, that makes the Fair Association eligible for Social Security, right? All kidding aside, unless there's a pressing need for alternate property use, please approve the lease, one-year lease extension. It will facilitate a smooth transition to the new site. Second item, staff preparation of a new lease for 30-plus acres at the new fairground site on Citrus. Please ask staff to make that a long-term lease based on the track record of 65 years for the fair being the current fairgrounds. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to you, but thank you more importantly for your continued support of the Martin County Fair. Let's make Martin County Fair great again for the next 65 years at the new site. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. David Hafner is next. David, I see you out in the
Here
lobby.
in 7 seconds.
David Hafner?
Yeah, she heard. He's busy. He's posing for pictures.
Would you like to address us during public comment? Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is David Hafner. I'm your Martin County 4-H Youth Development Agent. The Martin County Fair is where Martin County 4-H members' hard work, dedication, and learning come to life. Throughout the year, 4-H youth and volunteers spend countless hours caring for animals, keeping records, learning about animal and plant science, and practicing responsibility. When Fair Week arrives, it's their chance to showcase that effort, demonstrate what they've learned, and take pride in the results of their commitment. But the impact of their 4-H experiences goes beyond the show ring. Through these projects, youth develop life skills like leadership, communication, and teamwork. Participating in livestock and horticulture projects also connects our members with the agricultural roots of our community, reminding everyone farming, animal care, and food production still matter deeply here in Martin County. For many of us, the fair is where we gain confidence, make lifelong friends, and learn the value of hard work and good sportsmanship. It's where families, volunteers, and local businesses come together to support the next generation of agricultural leaders. The Martin County Fair is a cornerstone of the 4-H Youth Development Program, offering a place for young people to grow into responsible, capable, and community-minded adults. Thank you for your continued support of the Martin County 4-H Youth Development Program.
Thank you. Jesse Fulton is next. Would you like to speak? Would you like to address us now or during the item? Chris Hamilton, same question. Elliot Mata, same question. Mr. or Ms. Corey, same. Thank you. And Cherie Ramirez. Good morning.
Nice to see you all today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Cherie Ramirez, and I am representing Helping People Succeed today. I'm their new Director of Marketing, Communications, and Community Engagement. So we're here today for Agenda Item 260095, highlighting National Disability Employment Awareness Month. So thank you to the Martin County Board of County Commissioners because we receive taxpayer dollars to help fund our programs through Successful Futures, which Shannon Wilson will be talking on shortly. So I'm here to talk about helping people succeed as a whole. We have been in the county for over 60 years, just right behind the Martin County Fair. So thank you so much for that. And we provide everything from comprehensive wraparound services for baby steps, which is early childhood development, behavioral health for mental health intervention. We provide case management as well as psychiatric management for children and adults, and we do take insurance as well, so we are a mental health provider in the community. Also, Healthy Families, it's a child abuse prevention. We do home visits, so we are going into the homes of individuals and helping them learn how to be a parent, so we can help those numbers of child abuse go down in our county, which has been successful by the lead, Carolyn Moses, who has been the program director for that. And then also Successful Futures, what I was talking about. It's for disabilities and employment, teaching them life skills and how to be successful on their own and independent. We have a wonderful partnership with the Martin County Fire Rescue. So as they were here earlier today, Josh Jenkins is coming in and teaching our home health visitors how to teach fire prevention to the families that they're serving in the community. We have wonderful partnerships here in Martin County, and we're so thankful for that because we're able to serve close to 8,000 individuals and families in the county. So we have wonderful events coming up and ways to help support us in the new year for all the different individuals who we serve. So thank you so much for your support, and I'll let Shannon come up and talk about our Successful Futures program. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Wilson is next, followed by Tom Pine.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Shannon Wilson, and I'm the Director of Successful Futures at Helping People Succeed. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for your continued support of Helping People Succeed. Your investment in our programs truly makes a difference, not just for our organization, but for the people and employers who make Martin County stronger every day. With your help, we're empowering individuals with disabilities through job readiness training, placement, and on-the-job support. These efforts are advancing inclusive employment where individuals with disabilities have the opportunity to thrive, contribute, and belong in our community's workforce. This month, as we celebrate the vital contributions of individuals with disabilities, including those with mental health and non-visible conditions, we're reminded that inclusive employment benefits everyone. When businesses open their doors to all abilities, they gain skilled, loyal employees and foster a workplace culture rooted in innovation and compassion. So today, I invite you and the businesses across Martin County to partner with us. Together, we can continue creating meaningful opportunities that change lives and strengthen our local community and economy. Thank you again for believing in our mission and for helping people succeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom Pine is next, followed by Daryl McGill.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Tom Pine. I've been a resident of Martin County for over 50 years. Today in the consent agenda, this commission will approve $22,020,165.49, which was spent between September 8th and September 21 of 2025, without identifying the purpose of the payments or the payee. As our budget for the coming year moves through the process, the real culprit to the raising of our tax dollars is the millions of dollars that is spent in the consent agenda without any public discussion, and in many cases having absolutely nothing to do with the operation of our government. What can and cannot be in the consent agenda according to Google? The consent agenda is a tool to streamline meeting procedures by collecting routine, non-controversial items into a group whereby all are passed in a single motion and vote. Topics that have not been discussed by the board in the past shall not be in the consent agenda. To a retired construction worker, the definition of the consent agenda, according to Google, seems pretty simple and straightforward. So why is our local government making up their own definition? I feel this is the real reason our property taxes are going up almost every year for the past 2 decades. On November of 2011, the Jensen Beach Community Center opened to a brand-new building on Jensen Beach Boulevard in downtown Jensen Beach at a cost to the taxpayers of Martin County of $1.5 million. Sometime later, the Jensen Beach Chamber of Commerce was fundraising to build their very own building right next to our community center. At a Martin County Commission meeting several years ago, there was a discussion about Palm City Chamber of Commerce renting as I remember about 500 square feet of office space in our Palm City Community Center for $10 a month with a 10-year lease and 2 5-year extension. At the meeting, it slipped out that Denison Beach Chamber of Commerce had moved into our still relatively new Chamber Community Center. Of course, not a single detail was made public. Maybe someone, someday, will explain to the taxpayers of Martin County how this is a good deal for us, the taxpayers, because by now, if the Chamber of Commerce didn't move into our community center, they would have their very own building up by now, paying property taxes like real members of the community, instead of living off the taxpayers as they always do. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.
Thank you. Daryl McGill is next, and this is the last request to speak form I have for public comment. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Daryl McGill, and just to start, I come into the Treasure Coast from the 50s. I've come down here from the 50s, and I remember when my family was told they were not welcome at restaurants, gas stations, bathrooms, and I remember signs telling me to go to different water fountains. In fact, that anger I remember from being a young child. Anyway, I told you my name, my past experience. I served for 17 years as an entertainment chairperson at the Ulster County Fair in New York, 3 years as the advertising chairperson. I served on the board for 2 years. I was also a concert producer for the Orange County Fair, which is also in New York, for 3 years. Speaking of boards, I served for 17 years on the college boards at the State University of New York, and also was the president of the Union for Administrators at the Ulster County Fair. I was chosen one of 3 people as the pride of Ulster County by my legislature. I received a certificate of special congressional recognition from I'm sorry, I'm so upset about this, for my service in the community. And most recently, I was nominated in 2024 as the unsung hero on the entire Treasure Coast by a group, which I brought you most of those things, Mr. Blake. You saw them. So to make a long story short, on January 19th, I was told I was not welcome on the Martin County Fairgrounds by the then president. Angrily told. I was then told I was voted out by the board of the Martin County Fair by the same president. I was shocked, and this was all witnessed by Martin County Sheriff Officer Sergeant Foote. It has been 9 months and without no response to letters which from my attorney came for civil rights, because my civil rights were violated and due process was not offered. This is very sad, and at this time I must take legal action. Any questions? And I've seen you several times, Mr. Capps, and showed you everything of numerous things from Congress, yes?
Yes,
We will thoroughly investigate, Mr. McGill.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dennis Siaglo is next, followed by Corey Reckamp.
Good morning.
Morning.
Commissioners. I represent 2 different people, I guess, because I'm president of the Model Train Club, and I'm also on the board of directors for the fairgrounds. And I'm here to read a letter from one of our people that it says, I am writing in support of the Martin County Fair and Martin County Model Railroad. I understand you will be voting Tuesday on extending the fair an additional 1 year. When we moved here in 1998, Stewart was a small town, and the fair was a charming addition to the area. It took me years and the encouragement of Dennis Siaglo, president, to become the only woman member of the club. And at that time, now we have had several young members, and we also have 4 women that belong to the club. When Martin County Railroad depended on the fair, and I agreed in fairground space and implement to this mission. The fair attracts people to use and we need them. We do not have a valid alternative to the space, and we possibly close down if the fair does not continue to exist. So we're asking for the extension for the one-year lease, and we're also asking for the extension for the other lease for the piece of property. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Corey Reckamp is next. This is the last request to speak form I have for public comment.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning, people of Martin County. It was.
Could you get closer to the mic, please, so we can
Is
hear
this
you?
better, Sarah?
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Thank you. I don't know how much time I have. I didn't.
3 minutes.
On coming here today. So I'll start off by one thing, and that is just to give the 4-H a shout out, because back in the early 90s, I was in 4-H, and we even had a Toastmasters speaking club where I had passed out in front of people speaking before. So, of course, that was a long time ago. But although I'm happy with the job that you do in general, I came up because of my own personal griefs, which I will just leave as questions to maybe the board can look into for later. That consistently, after delivering the mail in 34997 for probably 26 years, I have noticed that there's a huge discrepancy between what roads get paved consistently and what roads I think have lasted 26 years without being repaved, but patched and patched and patched. So I would just like to put before the board that if you could please consider and walk those roads yourself, drive them yourself, check it out. I think it's a big oversight that's just been something missed, because as somebody who's driven what I just said, I realized after living here for only 6 years, when I didn't live here for 16, that there are roads I haven't been on in a very long time. So it's easy sometimes when you get in a routine to miss things. But I have been able to witness while I was delivering, and it bugged me so bad. I'd be like, I'm really glad Willoughby gets repaved at least once, if not twice, every 10 years. And that's fantastic. But at the same time, there's a lot of traffic that provides for that paving for Willoughby that goes on Monroe Street and Commerce and Grand Parkway and the other road that goes behind that runs parallel to, I can't remember the name of it. So you know where I'm getting at. And also, there are roads where these people that work for these companies live in, right across the street from there in Hibiscus Park and forget the name of the other community with all the presidents. There's Washington and Monroe goes past it, and Graham, and so I don't need to say more about that. It's not a huge concern, and I really will be happy if you do move the fair, because at some point I had grown very tired of going there, because it has definitely outgrown its space for many years, and I know that Mr. Campy, at one point, you were pushing for that, and the board knocked you down on it. And I feel so bad for you, because I was rooting for the same thing.
You have some new board members.
Right. So other than that, thank you for the progress. I do see it's beautiful what Martin County is becoming. I hope they stay close to the heart of people who do the things for the community that we forget about, like growing our steak. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant day.
Marvin Pinder is next, and this is the last request to speak form I have. Which item, sir? And what's that about? Okay, thanks. Okay, it's now time for commissioner comments. Commissioner Capps.
Good morning. I want to begin by thanking each and every one of you for being here today. You know, in Martin County, we are very blessed with a very engaged citizenry, and that's what public meetings are all about. And I just want to let you know how much I appreciate each and every one of you being here. the last public public comment spoke about paving of roads, and I learned about this when I had to take up a neighborhood collection to get my own personal street paved. What is interesting about the streets in Martin County is that some of them are public roads and some of them are private roads, and the county doesn't have the authority to pave private roads. You have to do what I did, which was bang on doors and get the neighbors to throw in a check, which we got it done after a lot of work. And so keep that in mind. There is a process for converting a private road to a public road, but it often involves getting all of the residents on the street to give the right-of-way needed because the county has to have right-of-way as part of that process. So keep that in mind. And then I wanted to bring attention to a little tour that I had a few days ago at the Salvation Army here in Martin County, which is over by the City of Stuart Police Station. Some of you may know where it is. I had never had the privilege of touring that facility, but recently I did, and my tour guides were Captain Abby Milner and volunteer coordinator Lourdes Stortz. And I was really amazed at all that they do for those in need in our community. Their outreach includes a food pantry, an on-site fully operational church, a compassion house for single mothers and children, rental and utility assistance, Red Kettle and Angel Tree campaigns at Christmas time. I'm sure many of you are familiar with those. And then there's a huge store they have over on US 1 that has all kinds of great products in it, clothing and furniture and all kinds of things, and we toured the store as well. It's a big operation, and they do an awesome job. I was very heartened when they told me that the people of Martin County are very generous to all that they do for those in need in our community. And then I will end with mentioning that we got a letter, commissioners got a letter from 1,000 Friends of Florida about Senate Bill 180, which is a bill that was passed in the last legislative session that greatly limits local government's abilities to strengthen their comprehensive plans. It basically says that anything that could be deemed more burdensome can't be implemented until late 2027. There are some parts of the bill that are good, some parts of the bill that are bad, but 1,000 Friends of Florida was urging us to begin our outreach to legislators now because they're in committee weeks, as they're called, in preparation for the legislative session that will begin in January. So I would urge us all, those in residents of Martin County, to write your legislators urging them to repeal the bad portions of Senate Bill 180 that limit our ability to strengthen our comprehensive plan. And then also, as far as what we should do as commissioners, I'm sure that our county administrator and our esteemed chairwoman will be working hard to put us a letter together, hopefully at the appropriate time, and hopefully pretty soon to marshal our arguments and get that to our legislative delegation, and to continue with other lobbying efforts that we can do before the session and during the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Campy.
Madam Chair, thank you. Now that the weather has begun to cool, I'd like to begin again my Music in the Park series that we're having at the patio at Palm City Place on Map Road. If you're not familiar, it's just north of the Palm City Station 21. We started last year by having free concerts in the park with food trucks, ice cream trucks. It's free. It starts this season, we're making it a little bit earlier. The music starts at 6:30 and it'll go till 8:30, but the fun and festivities, we have cornhole there and ping pong and checkers, and you can walk the lake around the patio and the park. It's really in an effort to build a sense, continue to build a sense of community, to get not just young folks, but adults away from their TV screens, their laptops, their phones, come out and do it like we used to do. Come and meet your neighbors and bring your friends. You can bring takeout, you can picnic, you can use the food trucks that come. It'll be October 18th, which is a Saturday. 6:30 to 8:30 is the live music. 5:30 sort of kicks it off, but that park is open and available every single day. I was driving past this weekend and kids were fishing. We have a fishing pier there and pulling out big fish. So if you're interested in that, you can come. It's all part of what we're trying to do to just enhance Map Road in Palm City. And I'd like to personally invite all of you to come. If you have suggestions of future musical acts or you are a future musical act, please contact my office. We're always looking for folks that are looking for an opportunity to come out and entertain their fellow citizens. So with that, I thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Heatherington.
Thank you. One, I would like to say, I only see one 4-H member remaining, and you took time probably off school to be here, so it exemplifies what a wonderful program that is and how it's raising young leaders. So thank you for taking time out of your day to be here. And then yesterday, the Business Development Board had a really great award ceremony. There were so many businesses that I wasn't even familiar with that were recognized, and a job well done. A couple of them stood out. BDB had a brand-new award, first year, the Legacy Award, where Joan Jefferson, if you know anything about Joan Jefferson, was really at the pinnacle of revitalizing downtown Stewart. We would not be the same community had she not put a lot of time, energy, and effort. She also served as a City of Stewart commissioner. Her and her husband and another family single-handedly pretty much revitalized downtown Stewart. It was really nice to see her honored yesterday with a Legacy Award. And also, one interesting thing, Alice's Restaurant across the street, they were honored for their innovative techniques of hiring, training, and engaging those with disabilities throughout the restaurant. It was really an amazing award ceremony, but congratulations to all the businesses that were recognized. That's all I have.
Thank you. And last week, John Mayall and I traveled to Tallahassee in part to witness the governor and the cabinet making a wonderful acquisition of 1,670 acres in Martin County. It's called the Barbie Ranch. It's a beautiful property that's in western Martin County, west of 95, east of Allapattah, north of 714. It's the Troop family has owned the property since 1948. The current owner is Lance Troop, and it's a beautiful native habitat piece in Martin County. Mr. Troop has been inundated for the last 2 decades with offers to purchase the property, and most people could not have turned down the offers that were made him. But he didn't want the property to be developed. He wanted it to be maintained in perpetuity. So he agreed several months ago to allow the land to be put in a conservation easement in perpetuity. So it will remain as beautiful and as pristine as it is now forever. And he said he was moved to attend the the governor and cabinet meeting too. It was such an emotional experience for him. He said his father would be so proud, and that's what we all want to do, is we want to make our fathers and mothers proud. So it's a marvelous piece. Martin County contributed $5 million from our half-cent sales tax. This, in addition to this being in perpetual easement and conservation, this property will be used as the state's portion of Indian River Lagoon South natural lands, which is a marvelous achievement. So it's a terrific thing for everybody in Martin County. We also made stops with senior staff at the Department of Environmental Protection. We all know that the Department of Environmental Protection has been a wonderful partner to Martin County, and we every opportunity we can to cement those relationships. We make those efforts, and we are assured that we will again and again be partnering with the Department of Environmental Protection to improve Martin County. And also a partnership that we have not availed ourselves of is the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services. And we are now going to be partnering actively with the DACs in order to purchase rural conservation easements. There are 3 parcels that are under consideration. They were extremely receptive. And so we're really looking forward to becoming an active partner with the Department of Agriculture. So it was a very successful, rewarding trip to Tallahassee, which isn't always the case. Mr. Donaldson.
Well, thank you. Thank you and John Mail for doing that for us. Good job. I have nothing else. Thank you.
Ms. Elder, with your permission, Commissioners, since we have a chamber full of people who are not here to hear, we have 2 items this morning that I'm going to take first. The first one is going to be agenda item DPQJ1, which is the request for a revised final site plan approval for Meadow Run at Fox Grove subdivision. Do we have staff here to take up that item? And that will be followed by Department 4, which is the discussion on the fair. Is that okay to take things out of order?
Absolutely.
Good morning, Mr. Elam. Morning. This is quasi-judicial. Commissioner Capps, any ex parte disclosures?
If I have any, they have been filed.
If I have any, they've been filed. Commissioner Campy?
I don't have any that I believe, and if they have, they've been filed.
You've received emails.
Well, yeah, the emails, but they are public records.
And Commissioner Heatherington?
If any, they've been filed.
Thank you. Mr. Elam, have you filed your necessary paperwork with the clerk?
A copy of my work history and the agenda item has been turned in as Exhibit 1.
If there's anyone who's going to be providing sworn testimony, please stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. Anyone from the applicant here? Thank you.
Raise your right hands. Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, I'm Brian Elam, the Principal Planner with Growth Management. This is a request by McKenzie Engineering and Planning Incorporated on behalf of Meadow Run Property Owners Association Incorporated for approval of a revised final site plan to add a rear entry gate at the cul-de-sac of Southwest Briarbrook Way for the purpose of accessing Southwest Layton Farm Avenue. Included with this application is a request for a certificate of public facilities reservation. The master site plan for the Fox Grove subdivision was approved on June 8, 2004, and included a 91-lot subdivision on approximately 543.8 acres with minimum lot sizes of 5 acres, consistent with the Agricultural Ranchette Future Land Use and AR5A zoning district. The Fox Grove subdivision received final site plan approval on September 14, 2004, and the plat was recorded on April 15, 2005. The property is east of Southwest Citrus Boulevard, north of I-95, and west of Southwest Layton Farms Avenue at 4350 Southwest Stony Brook Way in Palm City. The current zoning on the property is AR5A Agricultural Ranchette District. The future land use is Agricultural Ranchette. Here's sheet one of the revised final site plan showing the proposed rear entry gate at the cul-de-sac of Southwest Briarbrook Way for the purpose of providing access to the community from Southwest Layton Farm Avenue. I have slides later here that'll give you a close-up of it. So this is Southwest Layton Farms. Shows you the detail. This will be the property boundary, and the gate will come around the cul-de-sac. I'm sorry, the fence will come around the cul-de-sac like this, and it'll be gated back here, allowing traffic to turn around if need be, or to offer a queuing space up to the gated area. And this is just an aerial of where the gate will be, approximately here where the red is. So Development Review staff have found the Meadow Run Property Owners Association Incorporated application to comply with all applicable regulations, and the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan is detailed in the staff report. Review by the local planning agency is not required for this application, and staff recommends approval of the Meadow Run Property Owners Association application. We move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report, as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt the resolution approving the revised final site plan for the Meadow Run at Fox Grove subdivision project. And that concludes the presentation. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Seeing none, applicant, would you like to make a presentation? Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Chris. I'm with McKenzie Engineering on behalf of the applicant. Would like to thank Brian for the presentation and their assistance on getting this to this point so far, and would like to answer any questions that you guys may have regarding the project. Thank you.
Questions for the applicant? Commissioner Capps.
Layton Farms Road, is that a public road?
Yes.
County-owned, county-maintained?
County-owned and maintained, yes.
Yes, all right, thanks.
Thank you. I have a number of requests to address us on this. First is Chris Hamilton, followed by Jesse Fulton.
Thank you, Mr. Chris. My name is Jesse Fulton. I'm going to go ahead and address commissioners first. Good morning, County Commissioners, staff, and guests. My name is Jesse Fulton, and I represent Jacob Community Center, LLC, the neighboring property owner located east of Meadow Run. Thank you for allowing my colleague, Mr. Hamilton, myself, and some of the families involved to speak this morning on behalf of our organization and supporting the community. Now, in 2004, this very board approved Meadow Run's master site plan, which could not be clearer. All access to and from Meadow Run must come from Southwest 48th Avenue, now known Citrus Boulevard, and Layton Farms Road is to be used only for emergency access. For more than 2 decades, Meadow Run operated consistent with this requirement. Now, things changed after JCC, which owns approximately 400 acres east of Meadow Run, invested its own resources to improve and pave Layton Farms Road a few years ago. Once that road was extended and improved, Meadow Run unilaterally installed an unpermitted and unsafe south gate connecting its subdivision to Layton Farms Road. In direct violation of the master site plan this board approved. Since then, Meadow Run has used that gate for daily residential traffic, guests, and large construction vehicles, causing increased noise, congestion, and safety risk on a rural road that was never designed for such use. This is a narrow road. It's not striped. It's got deep ditches on the side, no barriers. When JCC discovered this violation, we reached out to Meadow Run directly, respectfully and in good faith, asking them to comply voluntarily. They refused. We then reported the issue to Martin County Code Enforcement in January. The county investigated, confirmed noncompliance, and issued a formal notice of violation. However, rather than correct the problem, Meadow Run appeared compliant by slightly moving the gate, rather than correct the problem, Meadow Run appeared compliant by slightly moving the gate inward, then reinstalling it to appease code enforcement. Within 2 weeks, the gate was reopened and the violations resumed. A second violation followed, and the matter proceeded before the special magistrate in April. Unfortunately, the special magistrate exceeded his authority in effectively granting Meadow Run an exception, something only this board can do. That temporary allowance for construction vehicles has only compounded the very issues we're here to discuss today. Today, Meadow Run continues to use the South Gate illegally, exposing neighboring landowners, employees, and families, especially those attending the Palm City Soccer Farm, some of which are here today, to ongoing risk from speeding traffic and oversized trucks. Just 2 weeks ago, Meadow Run residents again used the gate in violation of this magistrate's order and that limited exception. When reported, the county declined to impose meaningful penalties, effectively signaling that this noncompliance carries no consequence.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you. In closing, our request is simple. Please enforce the rules already in place and restore the protections built into the original master site plan.
Sir, your time is up.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Chris Hamilton is next, followed by Ms. Corey.
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Just real quick before my time starts, I'd like to ask for just a quick matter of legal housekeeping. There was some letters submitted, I believe, to the commission.
We have them.
County. I just want to make sure they're in the record, that's all. Okay, thank you. All right, good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Administrator, County Attorney, staff, guests. My name is Chris Hamilton. I represent Jacob Community Center as well as Mr. Fulton. As my colleague referenced, Meadow Run's proposed application for installing the South Gate along Southwest Layton Farms Road creates a dangerous condition for JCC and other local residents, plus, and particularly, families attending the Palm City Soccer Farm. Some of those families are here today, and you'll hear from them shortly. I also have 118 signed declarations opposing the South Gate that we will enter into the record with the clerk. 3 simple points I raise for consideration. First, Meadow Run designed and built its own main entrance, which was not mandated the design by any site, plan, county code, or anyone else or anything else. Meadow Run's attempting to justify these new gates by relying on their own created problem or harm. Rather than remedying its own design flaws to the main entryway through a simple construction permit and slight modification to the entry, Meadow Run now seeks to shift the burden onto its neighbors, exposing the public and other landowners outside Meadow Run to safety risks. Southwest Layton Farms Road was never designed nor constructed for the substantial number of heavy trucks and speeding cars that have been cutting through and creating congestion. It's a non-divided, non-striped, and less than 20 feet wide dead-end road with large culverts on both sides, making it not only difficult to pass and manage two-way traffic, but it's simply unsafe for the contemplated increase in traffic. Number 2, as of May 2025, we estimate that Meadow Run homeowners have built on close to half of the 91 lots already there. These homes were largely, if not solely, built using the main entrance for large vehicles. As such, Meadow Run can and does use the front entrance for construction and larger vehicles along with everyday traffic for close to 20 years. Otherwise, those homes would not have been built to date. The idea that the main entrance is somehow insufficient or limiting now is a self-serving falsehood. Number 3, there is a clear alternative. Meadow Run already has access on the northern end of Layton Farms Road. As of now, that northern gate is to be used solely for emergency access. That means, per Martin County's own growth management department, that the gate's culvert and paved access road must have been built and currently maintained to accommodate a large fire truck. Given that, it is more than sufficient to hold large vehicles and the construction, maintenance, and lawn trucks that we see going and coming from the south gate currently. Using the north gate would also eliminate most, if not all, of the concerns of these large construction, delivery, and maintenance vehicles and regular resident and visitor traffic passing the Palm City Soccer Farm at high speeds, endangering parents and children alike attending the farm. So in closing, we're simply asking that the county uphold the original master site plan in order to ensure the southern end of Layton Farm Road remains what it was always meant to be, a dead-end road with limited access, not a public thoroughfare for a wealthy subdivision wanting to make its own rules to the detriment and increased hazard of others and children. Thank you.
Ms. Corey is next, followed by Elliot Mata.
These are for the clerk.
Good morning, commissioners and public members of the community. My name is Ninel Corey, and I'm mother of 2 boys, James and Bryce, who attend the soccer facility on Layton Farms Avenue. And I'm here to speak on behalf of our community members who attend the soccer facility. Every morning around 9 a.m., about 50 kids gets dropped off at Academy, and by 3 p.m. they're picked up, and at 4:30 the soccer practice starts, and about 300 families bring their kids every day on that road. And I believe this road is very narrow, and there is no sidewalks, there is no lines, and on both sides there are very deep ditches, and it's already impossible to drive even regular car back and forth, and when large trucks are involved, they take the entire space of the road. And earlier this year, when the gate was open, my dog Max was hit by a car and had to spend by a large construction truck that was speeding, and he had to spend 2 nights at emergency hospital, and it was devastating for our family. And I can't even imagine if a child who were in similar circumstances was on that road, and like the construction truck wouldn't just notice him and hit the child. And we, as community of our soccer parents, totally opposed to using this gate for any traffic other than emergency use, because as it was said, the road is too narrow, and we just don't want to put our children at risk. And we ask you to please do not amend the site plan.
Thank you. Elliot Mata is next, followed by Marvin Pinder.
Good morning. My name is Elliot Mata. I'm the vice president of the Walton and Hersham Football Club, which occupies the soccer facility on Layton Farms Avenue. I am opposed to the proposed gate plan by McKenzie Engineering on behalf of Meadow Run, along with the hundreds of families who have signed petitions expressing their opposition. I have personally been bringing my daughters to the soccer facility for over 13 years, so I'm very familiar with Layton Farms Avenue, including how narrow the road is and the deep ditches on each side of the road. The club oversees an educational program at the facility, with families arriving as early as 7:30 in the morning to drop off their kids, and coupled with a soccer program that has families picking up kids as late as 10 p.m. So in other words, a very active area with children and families on Layton Farms Avenue. The condition at Layton Farm Avenue creates a significant safety concern for our families and students. We have already had incidents, as previously mentioned, including the club's owner's dog being hit and children and families having close calls. Adding a gate at this location would only increase traffic, inherently increasing the risk of children, family, and club members traveling to and from the facility. My wish is that the amendment to this site plan not be approved due to the safety risks and potential harm it poses to our community, and I hope I have successfully described the risk that this poses to children and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Marvin Pinder is next, and Mr. Pinder is the last request to speak form that I have on this item.
Hi, everyone.
Good morning.
I've been a resident for Martin County for 50 years, and I've lived on Layton, the corner of Layton and Moore Street for 41 years. With this entrance they're proposing, I think it's going to put way too much traffic into our neighborhood. The roads aren't designed to take that much traffic, and I really just oppose this amendment to this project. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to address us? Back to the board. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Based on some of the public comment, I have some questions. Mr. Elam, there was a comment about a north gate. Can you give us an aerial of what they're speaking of?
Yes, the original master site plan approval had a emergency access as part of its approval, right up here. So at the northern end of Southwest Layton Farms, as they had described. I could show you an aerial of it, but
That would be more helpful.
Yes.
This looks like it goes into a lake.
so that would be basically, I think, right here would be the emergency access. So,
What condition is that road in currently? Is
Lane
it,
Farms?
no, the access, the emergency access.
I believe that it's intact. I personally have not inspected it. I believe that we have had people that have looked at it recently due to this particular application. I can't speak of it to myself.
I guess I'm asking our staff and maybe the engineering firm representing the neighborhood if that was considered as a viable option. Is there a reason it wasn't an option? I'm just trying to flesh out if there was two different considerations. Was that?
That emergency access is a 20-foot wide grass current path with a stabilized base underneath. We haven't considered that as a feasible option due to the right-of-way concerns. Being 20 feet wide, we don't think that there is enough room to put in a gate with the proper facilities there.
Does our staff agree with that?
Already approved.
For the record, I'm Michael Grzalka, the county engineer. Yeah, and we did go out and then look at that facility. The culverts are fine. The access is still adequate for the fire rescue department because that's what it was primarily designed for. But we never took any more additional look at it. But it is only a 20-foot wide easement that cuts across those properties for emergency access only.
Okay, another question. Thank you very much. I've been down that road many times, Layton Farms. I've been actually driven it recently to see what this was like. I know of the soccer club back there.
Yeah, I think this is the soccer club here.
Correct. And the other facility that's there is the JCC. The interesting point about this, first off, in my opinion, something that was approved 20 years ago, now with the hindsight of decades, I don't personally think that since it was written that way in 2004, it would have to be locked in that way. So that part, for me at least, and I wasn't here then, but I could understand that things change and can progress. The comment about the additional traffic that Layton Farms would have to take on, we just heard from some of the public comments that nearly 300 kids are dropped off at this club, potentially daily. That's a tremendous amount of car traffic going up and down Layton Farms. Hundreds of families, I heard one of the comments was that there are hundreds of families that are involved going back and forth to the soccer club as early as 7:30 in the morning and as late as 10 o'clock at night, dark road. So I think there's already a potential concern. These are, how many homes are in this?
90.
91 lots, and about half of them are developed at this point?
That's correct.
I know that for quite a long time, the development, similar to the Pentalago development that's next door, had set unused for many, many, many years, and it just seems to have recently started to be done again. I'm torn in this particular area. I think that it's not a builder in there. It's not a Coulter or a Pulte. It's an individual kind of situation in there, correct? Homes are not being built 50 or 20, 30, 40 at a time. They're just building them.
I believe it's each individual lot owner, I think, is having their house built. I think that's how it's working.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Individual.
So based on a calendar of when people are building or not building, I can see the concern of construction vehicles, but I think if half the neighborhood of 92 homes is already built and they're building them, sort of sporadically, I don't know if it would be a parade of trucks that we have seen in other portions of the county. I'm wondering if, since staff has, I've read the application and the agenda item very carefully to see staff's recommendation is approval.
They comply with all the codes, so yes. There's nothing that would.
But they don't. There are violations against them.
They had a violation recently that was brought up. I talked with Jerry, our compliance officer, and he said they paid the $500 fine. I don't know all of the citations they've had. There have been a few, I believe, and we've dealt with them each time. Our code compliance, Jerry, has dealt with it.
But part of correcting violations would be what's happening today, correct?
That's correct.
You know, it's interesting because these are residents that live here, purchased homes and property here, and would use that as a potential option out of their neighborhood. And with all due respect to the folks that are visiting and participating at the soccer club, they, in the last several years, I know the club's been there for a long time, but it's really become much more active in the last several years. If the neighbors had come to complain about a soccer club with hundreds of cars, approximate a potential, hundreds of cars going the full length of Layton Farms Road, I mean, we'd have to take that into consideration as well. So for me, these are residents asking for an opportunity. They're going through the process, and staff has said that it's met, all of the individual departments have reviewed this and feel that it is an appropriate potential use of, even if all the neighborhood was built out, it's 92 homes. I don't know if it would generate the type of traffic that the soccer club does. So, I mean, in my mind, it seems like a reasonable request at this time.
Commissioner Heatherington.
So I'm concerned about the traffic on Layton Farms Road. I'm concerned about the violations that I'm reading, and I'm concerned about pushing traffic away that wasn't necessarily studied originally when the PUD was approved. So what you're asking for is something temporary in nature until the project is completed? Or just a permanent?
Permanent.
So I asked the staff, is there a mechanism that allows for temporary and not a permanent change? Or is that the north gate? Is that the provision for that?
Madam Chair, may I? Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director, for the record. So there was a order finding violation that was by the magistrate. That was April 16th. One of the reasons we are here today is to review and potentially approve the removal of Note 19, which was on the previous approval, which prohibited access to Layton Farm. So that's that component. So part of the review has these other potential matters that have been mentioned I'm not aware of. I would point out that this project being reviewed from a traffic perspective, meaning Meadow Run, was determined to be de minimis because of, as you said, there are 91 total lots, 45 of which have been built. But to circle back around to your question, they are operating under the magistrate order, which allowed for limited construction traffic, and the association is required to manage that. I believe there were tractor trailers measuring 53 in length or greater, so concrete pumps, things of that nature, and some other matters, roof trusses, cement pump trucks, things of that matter. So as part of that hearing, which I testified in, the review of this application it actually started before then, but we're here today to hopefully try to address the access permanently. So if this matter is approved today, that would allow the limited access for guests. It's a controlled access and limited construction traffic, or there's no real provision to limit the construction after today, in my mind.
No, Note 23 spells it out, and I believe it mimics the magistrate's ruling, although I wasn't there. And it says, Southwest Layton Farm Avenue shall be a residence, contractors, vendors, and emergency access. That is one of the few changes from the original site plan, was the modification of that particular note, which I believe used to just read that Southwest Citrus Boulevard shall be the access for residents and guests, something of that.
That's correct, yes.
So that portion has been added to this note as part of this revised final site plan.
Madam Chair.
Microphone.
I was not sworn in, so I can't speak to the facts, but I do believe staff could confirm that Layton Farms was not open to this location when it was originally approved. I believe when the project was approved, it was an unopened road to the point that the access is being requested to, and it has since been improved and open to use by the public. But you would need staff to confirm that, or I'd have to be sworn in.
I did a rezoning for the property that has the soccer field on it. And I believe when I looked at it then, the road stopped basically at their gate. They had a gate across here, so it wasn't paved from this portion down.
Ms. Elder?
Yes, Elise Elder, Acting County Attorney. I just had information about the code enforcement proceeding, but Mr. Schelling covered some of that, so if you have any questions, I can answer them, but I'm happy to answer those.
There was a comment, that someone made, that the magistrate did not have the authority to make the determination. Could you explain?
So there was that provision on the site plan that said there shall be no access off Layton Avenue. In his ruling, the magistrate ruled that Meadow Run could actually use Layton Avenue for larger tractor trailers. So the neighboring residents said that the magistrate doesn't have authority to make that ruling. We're currently in a lawsuit on that right now, so we're addressing that in court.
Sounds to me like if a magistrate would not necessarily have that authority to do that. That would only be this body.
So it's questionable right now, and we're in litigation right now, so it's hard to comment on that.
Magistrate, I would think.
Yes, so, but the magistrate only granted that access until this board ruled on the site plan. Once the site plan is ruled on, that access goes away, whether it's approved or not. So it's only a very limited time that they could use that entrance.
Is the lawsuit that we're involved in right now over this matter?
Yes, two. It's part of the code enforcement order was for Meadow Run to come before the board to see if they can get a permanent access. So that was done first, and then I believe the lawsuits came second.
So we're here because of the amended order from the special magistrate?
It's just the original order, but yes, that's part of
We
it.
also are questioning whether or not he had the ability to implement this change?
Well, this
Madam Chair, may I, Paul Schilling for the record. So the Note 19 as referenced, which prohibited the access to Layton Farm, was a board-imposed condition. There are requirements in the land development regulations which require the removal of that note potential to be the Board of County Commissioners is a decision maker on that, hence the hearing today.
I would also like to state that this application came in, I believe, a couple years ago, this request. But the applicant today was not part of the board. He stepped down or something of that nature. And so now that he has come back on the board, he's put in the application again. This wasn't something that happened 6 months ago. This was something they had desired a couple years ago, I
But
believe.
2 years ago, they knew that they were not allowed to access it from this access that they're now using. Because
2 years ago, they came in for a pre-app, and we evaluated this exact proposal, but they never turned in an application to go forward. And I believe it's because the applicant today stepped down off the board or something of that nature. So now that he's back on the board, he has resumed this proposal.
But according to the approved plan, they are not allowed access here. They're only allowed access at the other entrance.
That's correct. The except for by way of the magistrate's ruling, the approved site plan does not allow access there, only, yes.
Commissioner Capps?
Yes, I wanted to get a little more clarification about this north gate. There were a lot of things said, and perhaps you've already settled the matter, but what I would like to know is, could the north gate be modified so that it's usable for the same purposes if it's just a matter of time and money? Would there be like right-of-way issues, drainage issues, that kind of thing? But is it feasible that it could be done?
Yes, maybe, and not sure. All of the above. So I'll try to articulate it to some extent. The area in question is a 20-foot easement that traverses parallel to lot lines. If Brian could, or Mr. Elam could zoom down in there. Right, so we have residences that have been at least one constructed adjacent to the north there, the driveway, and then at the south, there will be a residence on that lot at some point in the future. But to get back to the answer, potentially modifications to the right-of-way, potentially modifications to this plat and the lots, which are minimum lot size, what is it, Peter?
5 acre.
5 acres. So most of these lots could not lose any square footage and still meet the agricultural ranchette land use designation. So that's, I'm sorry. I think that's it.
So to really get a final determination on that, we would probably need to pause this thing and do some research and further study. Or are we pretty clear now that it's not feasible? I mean, I'm not pressing you to make fast decisions that need more time.
I would say the likelihood of that happening in this location, similar to the south end that's proposed today, is extremely unlikely,
Okay.
in my opinion. I don't know if the county engineer has another opinion.
Would you repeat that, please?
Me? The likelihood of a gate and full cul-de-sac and all the appurtenances necessary to gate this access between these two lots with a call box and the queuing and all the intricacies that come with establishing that gate on the driveway could be problematic.
Even though there is an approved final site plan on which this is noted?
Yes, ma'am, there is. That, as we noted before, that is specifically for emergency access. So if the access to the front on Citrus was shut down by way of an accident or, God forbid, something more serious, the emergency traffic could get into the subdivision by way of this access point. It's not designed for guest access. It's solely designed to hold a fire truck and any emergency vehicles.
So there is an approved final site plan on this subdivision, and are we required to modify it?
No, you are not required to modify it. This is a request. It's the board's decision to make a change to allow this change. And I think in terms of the modification to this other entrance, I think the most significant item would be dealing with the zoning issue on the minimum lot size. All other engineering aspects could be overcome. It would be incumbent upon them to acquire right-of-way or other things to meet the standards. But if that relocated entryway required acquiring properties and rendering the existing properties less than the size, that's your most critical issue. So the question is there a clever way to do that? We don't. That could not be determined today at all.
Commissioner Heatherington?
Hold light.
Commissioner Capps?
Do you have to have a cul-de-sac? Is the construction of the cul-de-sac the big problem as far as the need for more land, the possibly needing land and on other people's lots? Could you have an access without a cul-de-sac?
You would have to have queuing space, and I forget the exact number. You would have to accommodate vehicles that pull up to that gate and cannot ingress without a call box or other matter. So potentially, you'd be acquiring more right-of-way into the subject property, and maybe you can talk about that, Michael.
Again, for the record, I'm Michael Grzelka, the county engineer. Yeah, in order to make that a full access, it would have to be built to county standards. And in order to build a road to county standards, we would need a 60-foot right-of-way out there, which there's not a right-of-way currently. There would also be their need for a turnaround at a gate so that anybody who gets up there that can't gain access has the ability to make the U-turn and exit the facility. So that's all part of it. I mean, like you said, that takes a lot of the property away. I don't know what those two lot sizes are, but this property was all designed for minimum 5 acres.
So if we took no action, the final site plan that was approved in 2004 remains in good standing, and there's just the matter of the special magistrate's amended order that we have to, does that stand?
The order from the magistrate only goes until the time that this board makes a decision. If the board says no today, they would not be able to use that access at all.
Okay.
The original site plan would stand.
Okay.
One more.
Commissioner Capps.
One more question. If we said no and you had to remain just on Citrus as your access, that would require the modification of a little building in the front, is it the guard station? Or because I believe that big trucks have been hitting the edges of the roof and you've had a lot of problems with that being in the way of the road.
Yes, sir. The applicant can speak more to this, but I did testify in the code enforcement hearing that the building could be modified, the guard shack, to accommodate whatever vehicles they'd like. It's been designed and in compliance with all the rules and regulations in effect in 2004. But I understand some of the larger vehicles may be constricted due to the appurtenances and gate access within the interior of the site. That could be accommodated by way of building permits, presumably.
One more question. Is there I suppose it would be an enforcement problem to allow the south gate, but with a permanent limited use just for big trucks? That would require someone sitting there all the time monitoring who's going in and out. That would probably be a hard thing to enforce, I suppose.
Yes, sir. It would be very difficult to enforce, and yes, definitely.
There's an approved final site plan. And it appears to be in compliance.
We need a motion. We need a motion.
Ms. Elder.
Yes, we do need a motion on the hearing, though. We can't take no action. I just want to say, since it is a quasi-judicial proceeding.
Mr. Capps.
So what are the consequences if we said we would like you just to fully exhaust the issue of whether the north gate is possible? I mean, I sense that you're pretty sure, but not absolutely sure. Is there some creative solution where the north access, could we pause this and what would be the consequences of that? I suppose there have been fees paid for this hearing and the application and all that. And would that mean a denial and have to pay all that stuff all over again and wait like a year to hear this again? What are the consequences of that?
Yes, sir. A denial would on a future application, we haven't had the opportunity to, I would just let the applicant if they'd like to address that, their willingness to move it to the north end. But throughout, as Brian said, the last 2 or 3 years, that has not been part of the equation. So so presumably the application would start over and there would be some issues with the, and even traveling further in time, there would probably need to be some more, Ms. Elder can talk about it, but the magistrate order may need to be amended.
I would suggest that, given the amount of time to accomplish that, I think a denial without prejudice for them to return for a future application would perhaps be more appropriate, that take final action today. And then if board thinks that they can provide advice, that they could come back with a future application. But I think the amount of real estate and all the other transactions that would need to be paid, it is essentially a new application. But that's just my recommendation.
Commissioner Campy.
I think we're getting into the weeds a little bit now. I think if anyone listening has heard sort of the opinion of the board, I think the most, especially if you can zoom in on that north, bring it down a little more. No, I want to see this house that's to the north.
This house?
Yeah, if that's my house, I'm not having an entrance put, it would literally come out next to my driveway. So I don't think that's going to make sense. You're just opening up a different can of worms. Based on what I'm hearing from my colleagues, I would say that the most logical step for Meadow Run would be to somehow design and configure your main entrance off of Citrus. It'll be much less expensive because I know these are big lots, but there's only 92 potential homeowners in there. The cost of coming back, the time of coming back, the political will to come back would be way more expensive than trying to create a north entrance point versus, potentially bringing contractors in to reconfigure and redesign your guardhouse and your front entrance. So I think I'm not interested in having them go, or our staff go through a process. They got so much work to do. Your neighborhood would have to pay professionals to do this work. If the board is not interested in giving you that secondary entrance off of Layton Farms Avenue, I would say you need to reconfigure your original entrance, which is where every lot owner in Meadow Run understood was their access to the neighborhood. Eventually, you'll stop building homes, and then the only real heavy truck traffic would be, furniture deliveries or tractor trailers that are bringing appliances, that kind of thing, versus creating this whole new problem that would be probably more complicated than the original southern back entrance, in my opinion.
Motion for denial?
No, I'm just giving you my opinion. I hear my colleagues are more passionate about this. I gave you my point.
All right, I'll make a motion for denial.
Is there a second? I'll pass the gavel and second the motion.
Look at me with the gavel, that's nice. Any other comments from my colleagues? Seeing none, we have a motion for denial of this agenda item by Commissioner Heatherington, seconded by Commissioner Hurd. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? That motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Vargas absent.
Thanks, thank you. Unfortunately, we have to take a break now, so we will take a 10-minute break and take up the fair.
You're on.
We are back. We're taking up Department 4, and following Department 4, we will take up the consent agenda. So Department 4 is a discussion on Martin County Fairgrounds update and requests.
Good morning, Madam Chair. George Stokas, Assistant County Administrator, here before you today with the Fair, 2 requests from the Fair Association. I think the easiest way to go through this is if I show you a map. The first question before you is the Martin County Fair Association has requested for a 1-year extension in their current location off of Southeast Dixie Highway and between Monterey and Indian Street. The second request is the Fair Association is asking that you direct staff to draft a performance lease for approximately 30 acres that is located along Southwest Citrus Boulevard. And hopefully, if to do this, so we would come back probably in November if negotiations go well. But the red box is the proposed future fairgrounds. It is approximately 30.9 acres. The green line is the road that was built off of Citrus Boulevard. The reasons for the selection of the red box is, number one, the further back parcel allows for a longer road queue or lineup for when the fair does have traffic associated with the fair, as well as the red box allows for future expansion with South Florida Water Management approval, as well as yours, for future recreational activities that may be incurred in sometime in the future. And with that, albeit a very short and brief presentation, there is the 7 points that are related to the fair extension, which would be a lease amendment. And then to just refresh the board's memory, a performance lease is basically where staff will go back. We will negotiate certain items that will need to be accomplished in order for a longer-term lease to automatically kick in. And typically, we give a grace period of about full final construction within 3 years after final site plan, if it is approved. But that would come back before this body once it's pretty much negotiated. But I am open for any questions or comments as it relates to any of these things that I provide with you, as well as Mr. Michael Robbins and their legal representation for the fair is behind me and is more than happy to take any questions or comments as well.
Questions for Mr. Stokas? Questions for the Fair Association? I do have 2 requests to speak forms. The first is Susan Gibbs Thomas, followed by Vera Howe. Good morning.
Good morning. Are we on?
Yes.
Good. Good morning, Chair Hurd and Vice Chair Campy and Commissioners. My name for the record is Susan Gibbs Thomas. I'm a resident of Martin County and I live in Indiantown. And I am here today to speak on the matter of the fair and to actually thank the county. I know the county, the commission, and staff have, through 6 decades, been willing to collaborate with the Martin County Fair Association and been able to produce for residents of Martin County a wonderful experience. Great memory maker, and we've already seen today with the 4-H group here and what they've had to speak to, how it actually molds our young people. They have the opportunity through the fair to do a lot more than what they would have without it. So I had all sorts of stuff that I was going to speak to. However, it's already been spoke to. You've already heard from the kids and how it impacts them. You've heard from the ones that use the fairgrounds, our much-loved Railroad Association, and their use of it, along with what it also enables the community to have as far as, swap meets or quinceañeras and just different programs, and that's the good times, but also in bad times. Your fairgrounds is also utilized during a disaster, a natural disaster, by the county or by FEMA or by Florida Power and Light, can be used as a distribution center. So we are grateful for the opportunity to stand before this commission today and let you know that the board that you see behind me is not the same board that we have been striving with. And I say we because in a former life, I was in some of those meetings under the, whenever I was sat on the Indiantown Village Council and as mayor, some of those other meetings trying to come to an agreement to move forward. In the recent past, it just didn't happen. Well, you have a brand-new board. And this board is laser-focused in moving forward and doing what it takes to provide for the county a wonderful event venue and a wonderful event. And I just want to, once again, thank the commission, thank the staff for all that you do and for being willing to listen to us and to continue forward with us another 6 decades.
Thank you. Vera Howe is next, and Ms. Howe is the last request to speak form I have. Welcome back.
Good morning and welcome. Thank you for having me back. So you heard me guys before. I came and spoke with the Florida 4-H, Martin County 4-Hers that we got our proclamation. And I just want to talk a little bit on the fair and how it's been a grounds for the development of not our generation now, but the many generations that have gone through it. And the personal experiences that we've been able to have at the fair, to not only have a fair once a year and just the week, but to have it as a resource to the whole entire county throughout the year. And over the years, the fair has become the classroom. It's taught me responsibility, the getting up before sunrise to feed animals that depend on me. It's taught me resilience, falling again and again until I got up, and it taught me confidence, standing in front of a crowd and realizing that my voice has mattered. And the most important, it's taught me about connection. The friendships I've made here are the ones I'll carry on for life at the fair. Some of my closest people I've met in the barns, the late nights after sharing stories and laughter through the barns. We've grown up here together through wins, loses, and lessons. When I walk through these gates now, seeing the exhibits and the rides, I see more than that. I see the mentors who shaped me, friends and family, and the younger exhibitors who remind me of where I started at this fairgrounds. This fair isn't just an event once a year, it's a community that believes in each other. The Martin County Fair doesn't just raise livestock or showcase projects or have rides once a year. It raises leaders, it raises dreamers, and it raises the people of Martin County. Thank you.
I have 3 nieces who are really enthusiastic livestock showers, and let me tell you, there's not much more impressive than watching a 90-pound little girl leading around an 1,100-pound steer, and they do it with aplomb. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. Mr. Stokas, you mentioned we have 2 items. What are we discussing first?
Whatever you like, but the first one that I presented in the board item was the fair's request for a 1-year extension at its current location on Southeast Dixie Highway.
Okay. Let me start by saying this. From maybe at least for the last 10 years, I've been involved in this negotiation of bringing the fair further west. Not so much that we were looking to necessarily bring it further west, we were looking for a larger piece of property for the fair. Through its success, it had outgrown the nearly 11 acres that it was on in town. Through, as Ms. Gibbs-Thomas had mentioned, the ever-changing board, even though some of the members of the board are decades long, but there's new faces, new ideas, new direction, new focus. I'm a huge supporter and fan of the fair for a multitude of reasons. One, as our excellent public speaker just mentioned, and I think there's no one will debate the value that agriculture and the fair and 4-H has brought to our community. Most people, if you think of Martin County, they would say it's an agricultural county. Well, how do we not have a county fair? What I have seen through my own experiences with my children is that the fair in town had started to become more of a carnival than a fair. The kids, as we just heard, that would spend years preparing to show the Miss Miss Martin County Fair pageant, the singing, all the agricultural side of it was starting to be lost to the folks that were coming purely for the midway, the rides, and the food and beverages. As the airport started to progress, more and more of the overflow parking was disappearing, making it much more difficult. And as you heard some folks say, if you went one year and it was very hard to find a place to park and it got difficult, then maybe you think, I'm not going to go. So we've been working for a long time. We had located originally 110 acres out in western Martin County. And then it's through its iterations has scaled back, sometimes positive, sometimes negative. One of the speakers earlier had said that I had really been beating the drum. It's in my district, but really my passion for the fair is this. I've said it in the past, and I think it's important when we think about, like, we're negotiating a lease basically with ourselves. We are the fair, and the fair is us. I think in the past, we started to get into this kind of adversarial negotiation that it was like us versus them, and I never thought of it that way. These are our residents, these are our friends, our neighbors, our colleagues, business owners, so I never understood like the kind of the debate that was the push and the pull of what was happening. I didn't like it, and we started to lose direction on specifically what was supposed to happen. I remember speaking with Jay Spicer and thinking that we would have the fair out there like in, I don't know, like 2018, you know, like, and I, the same concept that I hope can work now, and I believe it will, is we just got to get the fair out there. We just have to get past the, well, you know, and look, a lot of it was not even the previous administration at the fair. I mean, Chester Edwards and others had really put their heart and soul into it. So no critique of them whatsoever. The board's, the administration's bar was very high in terms of fundraising. We had a lot of expectations of raising millions of dollars that would have to be raised ahead of time. And there was a lot of scrambling with state grants and things like that. I was part of it. I sat in meetings with potential donors. I introduced the fair group to donors on Jupiter Island. We did everything that we could. But then there was a pandemic. And so I don't see that as any kind of a misstep on behalf of the folks that were now and then working on the fair's behalf. That being said, I think that an extension, and I have shared this opinion, my opinion, with the fair, individual members of the fair, I think waiting an additional year is a disservice to the fair. More and more of the parking is being taken away. Whether it's the FAA is saying it has to go or not, I think we could work around that, but just logistically, there's just not as much there as there was. I think that if we change the mindset of kicking the can down the road an additional year, we're sitting here a year from now and having a similar conversation versus, and I'll make my own personal commitment as the district commissioner and one of the 5. A lot of our staff has said to me, Parks and Rec and members of engineering, growth management, public works, they're all in. They all have, a lot of them are locals that were raised here and have beautiful memories of their childhoods at the fair as well. Let's go full steam ahead on getting the fair out there. Let's not say, well, you know, we got another 365 days to sort of figure out what we should and should not be doing. No, have this year's fair. I remember a couple years ago, there was the Farewell Fair, and then they had to paint that off. I drive by and see that the original mural on the side of the building is gone to 2 smaller murals, and I don't know why that happened, but I mourn the old mural because it really spoke to us. Now, from a personal point of view, I certainly don't want to be sitting up here as a commissioner for the demise of the fair, of the 65-year-old fair. I want to be part of, and I've been trying for a long time now, to be part of, as Susan Gibbs Thomas said, the next 60 years. 30 acres is good. I wish it was more, but what Mr. Stokas said, I had sat in on a meeting with the South Florida Water Management District. They own hundreds and hundreds of acres past there. This used to be, if I'm not mistaken, South Florida Water Management property. I was a new commissioner when they donated it back to us, the 110. They're not going to use the perimeter of it as well, but I think the only thing that I would say, and I know why Jay was doing it, because he was looking to build stakeholders. He was looking to create the largest community of people that could push the fair in the right direction. But I think what happened is the vision got too big. And if you're looking to get this, you get nothing. And if you're looking to get this, then you can really do it. And he did bring in, I remember, and I still want these things, archery, soapbox derbies, BMX. You guys, I don't have to tell you, there's a million things that can go on. The other misconception that I think a lot of people think about when we think about the fair is that it's 10 days. It's 2 weeks. It's not. As some of the speakers had mentioned, the association programs events and activities on that property year-round. I don't think most residents realize that. I think they think that the Fair Association handles the fair, and when the fair's over, it somehow reverts back to the county, and all of those other events are magically handled by some elves, I guess, not understanding that it's you all. And they're not all moneymakers. It's not all ringing the register. I know that tremendous amounts of the activities that you supervise, maintain, clean up after are events that are completely put on for the community for free. Free for them, not free for you. There's still plenty of money that's expended to create these events. So I would humbly suggest, and we could hear from the representatives, I think they might have already come to this determination, that the 2026 fair should be the last fair, and that the 2027 fair should absolutely be on its new piece of property. And I will commit all of my abilities to make that happen for you all. I think if you wait too long, the circling above the Fair Association that could be happening, there are, look, and I don't have to tell you, there are groups that are working towards a different set of outcomes that might not be as beneficial for you all. And you're only stewards of the fair, except for my friend who's been there nearly 30 years. Most people come and go from the association. If you think about it, it's handed down the line. The groups before you did it in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010, 2010s, and to you. And so I want to make sure that you, as the dedicated volunteers, can pass it to the next group, to that young lady sitting right over there. Eventually, you'll be up here. Well, we need to renew our 40-year lease, into 2050. So that being said, I think the suggestion would be to not renew. And that's not meant as a zing or as a kick to the association. I think it's the right, in my opinion, and I've had the chance to speak to you, it's the right strategy for moving forward. Let's go. Let's commit that we're going out there. Let's get these leases signed by the county. Let everyone understand there's a sense of urgency that I know you have it, but we have to make sure that everyone else has it. And I will stand with you every time you need me to, at meetings with donors, at meetings with the South Florida Water Management District, at meetings in this building, to make sure we get the fair healthy and ready for its move. Even if the first year has to be more of a rural kind of, like when the circus came to town, if you have to do that for the first year, even though I think it'll be more than that, the county, we did commit to a couple of things back when we did that negotiation. Some of them have taken place, but the other ones that we haven't necessarily executed, I still expect the county that we agreed to those things in the past, we would continue to be on the hook for them now. Thank you.
Commissioner Capps.
We received a lot of engagement and a lot of emails, and I appreciate all of those. They do make a difference. And a whole bunch of them came from a group called the Model Railroad group. And I would be interested in knowing what they in particular feel about the extension and whether an extension would be helpful to them. Will that be coming? Are we going to have some public comment about that a little later? I'll look forward to hearing that.
Commissioner Heatherington.
That was one of my question is, I support a 1-year extension. I support the fair in its entirety. I was one of those 4-H kids that grew up and learned leadership skills, and I thought Vera's words were really very impactful. The Fair Association raises leaders, raises dreamers, and raises the community. I thought that was very nicely put. I would also like to hear from the model train to see if you got a rural fair, which I think is absolutely doable, out in Indiantown in 2026. Would that meet the needs?
2027.
In 2027, would that meet the needs of the train association? Because I think that there might be a little more than just having barns and bathrooms to accommodate that particular organization. And I'd love to hear from them if that would.
If I might just put 2 cents in for that? 5 cents? And then I'd like to also hear from our friends at the Railroad Club. My point about moving is the county is not going to immediately come in there and wipe away the property. So in terms of the in my mind, my suggestion would be the Railroad Club would continue to operate on the property until the last moment that they could not operate on the property. I had a meeting with them, it's probably 2 years ago. They came to see me and we had a conversation. They do have a beautiful plan. These guys are, and women and children now, we got the letters, I think it's terrific. They were prepared and we can hear from them. They have I'm assuming they still have a plan to move. And I had originally even suggested that I would use some district funds to help sort of kickstart that effort for them. But obviously, they're currently not in my district, but if they move out to the fair, they would be. So yes, I'd like to hear from them, but I wasn't leaving them in the lurch. If the fair continued to move, the Railroad Club could stay there until we didn't need them to be there, until they were comfortable for moving.
In answer to, I think, everybody's questions, we are going to do everything possible to try and build a new building while they're building the site for the fair. We've got a full-blown drawing that I've been to the building department with that they have literally approved, and I've talked to the fire marshal, so I think we've got all the, everything as far as that goes. And our intent is that, yes, we appreciate we need to stay here till 27, and while we're prepping the ground and everything else, our intent is to try and build another building, and working with the fair board, which I'm also part of, in order to raise some money and some grants, because needless to say, this kind of building needs to be done. We can't move a $250,000 layout to sit inside a tent out there at the fairgrounds. So we've talked among us. I've presented an idea that I think we could build 2 buildings at the same time if we could get the funds and the grants. So we could build an office building and an auditorium, and we could build our museum and the train building both at the same time on this piece of property. It might be kind of a stretch, and it would take the work of everybody, and the train club has been very fortunate to work with the board that is there now, and in their help with us and everything else. And I think that this is the only way that this might get off the ground. So we're anticipating being here in 27, and we'd like to have a new building by the time 2027 rolls around.
So the extension would be helpful to your
It
group.
is, it's a must. It's a must. And Mr. Campy was, when I met with him 2 years ago, and the other commissioners that were present then, Sarah, I met with Sarah. So all the commissioners have been very, very helpful to this club, but without this extension, we've had people talk about taking everything down and storing it. We couldn't afford to start spending $12,000 a year just to store layouts, and half of them would get destroyed. When you go to move them 3 times, and this latest addition we got was a $250,000 layout from a gentleman down there in West Palm. And these aren't the kind of layouts that you can just put in somebody's garage or something like this. And when you disassemble them, they would be destroyed. So, and the amount of people that go through this club and through the fair, we deal with children with autism. We deal with people coming from the schools, senior groups coming out of nursing homes. We had a case of, here 6 months ago, we had a gentleman who was in a wheelchair, 66 years old, and all he wanted to do was have his birthday at the train club. So we accommodated him on a Saturday, but these are part of what we're doing right now in works with the Fair Association. But as together, we want to make this thing move ahead. And I'm the kind of person that I believe in doing today what, not waiting till kicking the can down the road. So.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time and your questions.
Thank you. I'm also very supportive of the fairground moving, and I certainly understand the notion that in their lease in order to provide incentive, but I also know that things take a long time in government. It's going to take a while to, if we approve the negotiations for the new contract, it's going to take a while to negotiate that contract. So I can certainly understand that their need to extend the lease till 2027 and then to begin negotiations for the new location. Mr. Campy.
Thank you. Just, is anyone from the Fair Association interested in the comments that I made, sharing their opinions? Waiting has its advantages, but it has its disadvantages as well. Of course.
Thank you, Commissioners. Michael Robbins, Executive Director of the Martin County Fair. And I actually, as a board, we've actually discussed the comments that Mr. Campy made, and we are ready to get moving on this. We work very closely with the Train Club. If they have the ability to stay for the perpetuity until they can stay.
They don't have a contract with us.
Okay, well, if we could work, that is one of our concerns. As far as us being able to get to a fair in 2027, we're committed to doing that. We have the resources in place right now, financially, to at least get to that point, if not even get down the road on the physical components that we will need eventually, which would be our offices. We do need ample space for agricultural and other exhibition space right there, and of course, storing all of our things. But as far as the larger needs, our first priority is our livestock kids, creating that environment. We can do that with temporary structures. They're actually very, very nice. And then building out all the other components that we need, hardened surfaces for our midway, parking, et cetera. But those are types of things that even with a new site, we are prepared to work through. So we certainly take Mr. Campy's suggestions to heart. It's something that we are motivated to do, and if it's given us the challenge to be out there in 2027, we will accomplish that if we work that together. But we also want to make sure that our friends at the Train Club are taken care of, and we look forward to working with them and hopefully have a new home right with us at the fairgrounds.
Thank you. Madam Chair, may I make a suggestion? As I said, I think that the train club is using a relatively small footprint there, but there, I agree, you can't disassemble it, put it somewhere else, reassemble it. It's a lot of work. It would take, you'd have to have a separate club just to do that. I don't see us necessarily, even if the fair were to, the association were to vacate and head to their new home in western Martin County, that anyone would be coming necessarily to put a sticker on the door at the Railroad Club. I think that they could stay there even if a majority of the property and the association started their move. Remember, I'm not saying that after the fair is over in 2026 that you have to vacate the property. I'm just saying that you'd set a goal for yourselves to not be out there setting up the fair for the spring of 2027. If it took you 8-9 months to move off the property as an outside, I believe if you have a sense of, urgency is the wrong word, but if the donors and the folks that write grants or pay grants understood that you need to move along, and the concept of how long it would take to renegotiate the contract lease, we've been renegotiating that contract lease for about 6 years. I mean, I believe, and we can ask Ms. Elder, that I don't think it would take, especially if she understands that she doesn't have a year, she and her team doesn't have a year to wait and to handle it. If she knew it had to be done, she'll get it done. I know Terry McCarthy sitting in the front row. He'll get it done. He doesn't want to retire until he sees the train club and the Fair Association in their rightful home. He wants to hand it to his protege in good stead.
The lease is not my concern, it's Stokas. It's going to be long and drawn out.
George Stokas gets things done. He's a superstar here. Say you're only kidding. It sounds like that's on the record.
Commissioner Capps.
Yes, I'd like to begin by acknowledging Susan Gibbs Thomas as Indiantown's first mayor. I don't know, most of you probably know that, but we're glad to have her here, and for your public comments also.
She's on their board.
Yes, and I think it's a new day with new leadership at the Fair Board. There's been a history there of delays and problems, but it's a new day. And in my conversations with the key players, I've had confidence that they know what they're doing. They have a good, reasonable plan. I think it's also very important for any new effort to get the proper start for momentum purposes and to get it right. And it's only one more year. I don't think that's a big burden to any of us. And also, it seems to me that the Model Railroad group or club is a key part of the fair, and they have expressed that they really need another year to put things in place. In light of all of that, I would move approval of the extension.
Commissioner Heatherington.
I concur with that, and I would second it.
Is there any further discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
And
Second matter.
And the second matter, Madam Chair, is really just need a board direction to move forward with a public purpose lease for the Fair Association. The performance lease would be, the components really are a site plan, a fair office, a fair midway, handicap parking, and the reason we distinguish that is that's typically paved, general parking, which is typically not paved or is stabilized soil, and then stormwater associated facilities as well as utility connections. And those would be the things that the staff right now, we've thought of to start negotiating on, but I'm open to any more further comments, or if that's a good start, we can go from there.
Commissioner Campy.
I'm all revved up about the fair. I'm very happy to support that. There was a comment about term Do you have a suggestion for term?
I don't have a suggestion. I think typically I look at 40, but we're open to what the county administrator is about to say.
No, I think
No, Mike?
Excuse me, the issue is the length of the lease, but the performance piece would be that you were expecting that the initial rustic fair may have tents or those other things. I think the direction really is on the performance of expecting some of these physical features, which are much smaller in scale than we did before. Is it 5 years to actually get, buildings in place, something like that? So they have a long-term lease, but it has a performance measure that we're expecting to occur within a shorter period of time. So I think the idea is you'd have a long-term lease that they can use, but there is a performance piece that, all right, you have 5 years, let's say, and your feedback on that would be helpful, or certainly individual feedback following this meeting would be helpful when we work with the Fair Board to bring back, hopefully, a mutually agreeable long-term lease with a shorter-term performance criteria on the most critical elements, what we consider for the basic fair. Knowing that long-term, they're going to have additional items added to it, but that would be not performance-based.
Okay, I make a motion that Martin County enters into negotiations for an extended lease. What did you call it? What kind of lease?
Performance-based.
Performance-based lease for a term of 40 years with a 5-year performance on construction that is negotiated mutually between the association and the county. That the items that Mr. Stokas had mentioned that would have to be handled right off the bat, but also with the opportunity that the fair have the ability at any time during the term of their lease to negotiate with any outside entity for additional space as needed in the future. Specifically with the South Florida Water Management District, that would be a party with the county, the outside entity. I'm assuming it's South Florida Water Management District, but potentially it's somebody else, and the association, so that is something that they can, as they see fit, would have the ability to negotiate a larger footprint. What is that, north or west?
Both.
North and west, and/or west. Am I missing anything?
I don't understand the last part of your proposal.
They are going, originally, the negotiation that we had entered into several years ago was giving the association 110 acres. Now it's down to 30. And part of their vision that, this group is going to incrementally build the fair as it's appropriate. But I don't want, if we disappear and there's new people sitting up here, that they have to come hat in hand again through a multi-year process to get additional footage. If you see this red box to the top of your screen and to the left of your screen, I sat with the last group and the South Florida Water Management District to get additional property. Now, 30 acres sounds terrific, except it is relatively small. The county is reserving 17.8 for themselves. This whole purple shape used to be the fair. And now they have the upper left portion of it. So all I'm saying is that if it's appropriate in the future, when it's different faces here, that my comments are remembered, that the association could have additional space, at least have the ability to negotiate versus having to start all over. It's just a thing that protects us into the future beyond 30 acres, because I believe this will be successful. Some of the items that we're going to get moved out to the Agriplex are terrific items that Martin County should have. Let's say it's off-road vehicles or BMX or archery or soapbox derby or equestrian facility. Why wouldn't we give them the opportunity to at least negotiate? I just want it written into the documents that 15 or 20 years from now, someone says, well, why would we do that? You got 30 and you got your 30. No, at the time, on October 7, 2025, we discussed that they do have the ability to have more if they need it.
I disagree. I think that this ties our hands.
Okay, I'll
And-
make it a separate motion then. Just, I want to have unanimity. I want us all to agree.
I mean, that's effectively giving them 100 acres, and no one else can
Well, not-
petition us to.
Well, let's do them in separate. I'll take that portion out of my original motion.
Mr. Donaldson, you have a comment?
I was going to weigh in on your last conversation, but I think I'll withdraw my comments.
You're only going to annoy one of us.
Yes, or all of you, so I'll wait, thank you.
So your motion is
Without the,
basically what Mr. Stokas laid out in the staff.
and my comments that I made, except for the additional space.
I would second that.
Any further discussion? There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously.
Terrific. I'd like to make a motion that the Fair Association have the opportunity in the future to be a party of a negotiation that they could begin with outside entities, specifically in this case, the South Florida Water Management District and the county, if additional acreage is needed for future expansion.
We can't represent the Water Management District.
No, they would be Fair County Water Management District.
So you're just asking for authority
Yeah.
for the,
So that they have a right to have that negotiation, to, if they wanted to institute it. We started to do it a couple of years ago. And it was good, and that's when there was way more than 30 acres, and we were negotiating with them to get some extra. I just want to give them the ability, this is a 65-year-old organization, I'm trying to look deep into the future to give them some foresight to know that what we did today gave them some flexibility. 30 acres is terrific over 11, but it's not a lot.
Commissioner Capps.
With regard to additional land and expansion, I would prefer to cross that bridge when we get there and take one thing at a time. So I would be for
I withdraw my
holding
motion.
open.
A tie is a no. And there's 4 of us. I can count, at least.
yeah, you can.
Then we are finished here.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we'll take up the consent agenda.
Just you two. Well, I'm glad I came.
Thank you, George.
Thanks, Ed.
I'm glad I came.
Bye, Kara, thank you.
Okay.
I wonder if Terry works pro bono. Meters running.
Okay, next we will take up consent agenda number 8. I pulled this. It's a request to adopt a resolution revising the development review and inspection fee schedules for growth management, fire prevention, and engineering services. And these have not been evaluated for 9 years, and certainly there's been inflation, there have been increased costs over the last 9 years, and so I was encouraged that we were reevaluating our fees, but I was disheartened to understand that we are not, that the major fees are remaining the same, even though surely our expenses have skyrocketed in the last 9 or 10 years. So why wasn't an effective reevaluation done of our fees that reflect current costs? Because if development review, if the developers aren't paying for the fees, then our taxpayers are. So why are all these major fees remaining the same as they were in 2016?
Good morning, Commissioners. Paul Schilling, Growth Management Director for the record. So to answer your question, Commissioner, to some extent, this endeavor was undertaken by a few departments. We have analyzed the fees and tried to come up with fees that more accurately reflect our operation. I could remove a couple of them. For example, the removal of the resubmittal fee for DRIs and DRI applications in general. We changed some minor changes to the master and site plans for consistencies during the review process. And a building permit review, along the lines of what you just mentioned, we have, by way of this ordinance, should it be successful this afternoon, be implementing a $45 zoning review fee on building permits. As you know, we have several individuals that are devoted to that full-time. We review thousands of permits a year, and those can be resubmittals or first-time submittals. So that's in an effort to capture some of that available funding. We have added, with respect to development review, we have added a landscaping compliance inspection fee, which is $560. That was added for minor developments, and the $1,100 was added for major developments. And as you know, a lot of these projects have landscaping, of course, but they also have environmental. So we've found a need to add, to separate those fees, for lack of a better term, and that the landscaping also has resources involved with that and its own criterion, bonding, and staff review, of course. The preserve area signage fee, that is based on the cost. It's going to be a pass-through to the owner. Before, those were $3 and $5. We've added a permit fee for shoreline stabilization, which is new. Backing up to some extent, we have taken an opportunity to look at these fees. However, we felt that the changes necessary today would not trigger a full-scale analysis of all the development review fees, which you just indicated. I would suggest if the board's direction is to travel in that direction, we could certainly do that. The last time it was done, it was quite an endeavor, from what I gather.
I just know that when you do a major master and final site plan, a PUD development, all these major things are huge undertakings for our staff, and yet the fees remain the same as they were established 9 years ago. And I know that our costs have gone up dramatically. Why don't the fees reflect that?
They could in the future, perhaps. I agree wholeheartedly with you. These applications involve dozens of people with many, many hours involved, and depending on the length of review, we can be talking about 2 to 3 years of review time.
And we get $12,000 for that.
Yes, I would point out that probably a little bit of the consternation was just the wholesale review of all these fees and what the end result could be. But we haven't entertained that. I think the genesis of this was to just simply add some fees that were, as far as growth management, that were necessary to make some clarifications that did not trigger a full analysis of all the fees. So.
All right, well, I'm just looking through this, and it looks like a fee that's being added is a scanning fee, and no, that's not even being added. An environmental waiver, shoreline regrading, 5 or so really, really minor fee changes, and everything else remains the same. I mean, why bother?
There was, just from a practical standpoint and to avoid confusion, there was a fee for the major and minor developments with respect to the inspection package that was $3,600 for a minor final site plan and $2,900 for a major development. As we know, there's much more involved with a major development. The thresholds are higher than then of course the minor trip capture, and all those other entities. So we just basically reversed that to accurately reflect. We removed some code citations and added the new code citations with respect to the minor technical changes to correct inconsistencies with master plans and plats. As you know, fairly frequently we bring those applications to this board, although now they're going to be, the plats will be administratively handled.
So my suggestion is that if the board is interested in looking at all of our fees more comprehensively, we could do that in terms of doing some cost analysis on what it's costing us. There's also been a desire to try to keep the fees to a minimum for like the single-family property owner and small businesses trying to apply. And so there would be some policy decisions that I think we need some feedback if you want us to look at the entirety of the fees. I do know that our building department is coming forward with actually some fee reductions. You know, they've been challenged with competing with the private sector under the state law for private providers on threshold inspectors and other those items. And Jeff has actually been generating sufficient revenue through some of their larger projects to potentially lower some of their fees, and that'll be coming to you in the future. So there have been some efficiencies, at least in the building department area, for inspections and using drones and other things for roofing and things to try to make it more cost benefit. Plus, they have to compete with the private sector to do their building permit fees. But I think in terms of growth management and the engineering department and looking at major site plan developments, you're correct. We have not looked at a detailed analysis of what we're actually spending on staff, the number of hours typically spent on the different types of applications, and we'd be happy to put something together to look at that if that's the direction of the board.
Yeah, I'm certainly in favor of making things affordable for our residents, but people routinely accuse our development review of being developer-friendly, and this looks pretty developer-friendly to me. Commissioner Campy.
Thank you. To piggyback off of what Mr. Donaldson said, I can see his point. And Commissioner Hurd, yes, I understand we want to make sure that the developers and folks that are doing business with the county pay their fair share. However, in most cases, if, to Mr. Donaldson's point, if it's a family looking to build a single-family home, I have had people reach out to me that say it's nearly impossible to do that. And if we're talking about housing prices, and not everyone buys an existing house, and not everybody buys a house that was built by a national home builder. Some people purchase a lot and try to build with their single family a home. And so if the folks that are tasked with doing the work and evaluating the value of that work, reviewed all the numbers, made the corrections where there was no fee on certain things that maybe are newer than they were in the past, it wasn't relevant in the past, or to do some corrections. So like a minor review of what, major, minor, we just did a minor review of the fee schedule. And when I read the agenda item, I thought that the changes that you made were appropriate, especially given the fact, and I appreciate your ability to regulate, to say, well, we have a free opportunity here to make these whatever we want, and we can push them through, and we'll probably get a yes, and we can bring in this additional money, but you were reasonable, and I appreciate that. Even if it's a larger builder, and you say instead of being $12,000 or $18,000, which it's not just 18 or 12, you put them all together with the other expenses, it can be much more than that. Most likely, even if it's a small, like a medium-sized builder, not a national builder, they just push those into the cost of the units. So if you're looking to try to create reasonable housing, new, affordable housing opportunities, and when I say affordable, I don't mean program housing. I'm talking about a house that a regular family could afford. That's what I mean by affordable. Then you have to keep that in mind, because all of these things add up. I did have a conversation with our friends from Fire Rescue and Fire Prevention Inspection Services. I thought what they had laid out about, because we're not just talking residential, we're also talking commercial, they had laid out a strategy that the smaller projects were going to be evaluated and charged at a reasonable rate, so that if a family or a couple or partners wanted to enter into a business, they don't look at the cost expense sheet of opening the business, especially with the fees from the government, and say, we can't do it. They did review their numbers and increase them and make them fairer for larger scale projects. And we went back and forth quite a bit in that conversation to make sure that the small scale stuff was reasonable and that the larger scale stuff was fair. And I think the goal here needs to be reasonable and fair. So if our staff has reviewed it and felt that this was comfortable, short of doing a full-blown major review, which maybe you want to do, but I would at least make a motion, and I will, to accept what we're seeing today. And if your suggestion, Commissioner Hurd, is that as the time is appropriate, our staff does a much more thorough review, but I would have to see how does that compare with Indian River County and other counties. Not necessarily St. Lucie and Port St. Lucie, because it's, there's scale that needs to be taken into consideration. But with similar organizations such as ours here, I'm not opposed to that, but with what you asked to do today, I make a motion to accept.
Second it.
Commissioner Capps?
Are there any state regulations that come to bear on this subject? Seems like I've heard that with regard to the building department, that there are some parameters that are put on us by the state. Like there have been problems in some places with building department fees being exorbitant and being like a profit center for a town or a city or something, and that the state legislature brought that down within certain parameters. Does that apply to growth management as well?
No, sir. Those fees are regulated by the building code as well as the building official, Mr. Jeff Doherty. So those fees are set, for the most part, as you said, I believe by state statute. One of the nuances with them is there's a percentage of the value of the construction, and also that is used, I believe, for calculating the review fees on a permit. So it's a $89.50 permit, I believe, just generally speaking, and then the percentage of the value of construction is added into that, and then there's a calculation done that the ultimate value of the permit comes out, or the cost.
Just keep in mind, Commissioner, that in any fee-supported structure, we can't make a profit. So we would have to make sure that the work effort doesn't, or the fees don't generate more funds than we spend.
Okay. Now, this agenda item is also about the fire prevention and engineering services. And so I suppose we'll be hearing from the fire department too, perhaps, or not necessarily. Okay. I don't have any in particular. I just wondered if you were going to be talking.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed. That motion passes 3-1 with Commissioner Hurd dissenting.
Thank you.
That's right. So now that the consent pull has been reviewed, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. We will now break for lunch. Commissioners, we have a preset of 2. You want to just come back at 2?
Do you want to hear this quickie item? I think it's a mandatory nothing. I watched the LPA meeting.
What's this?
Green something?
Farms.
Green Farms. I watched the LPA meeting. It lasted 4 minutes.
Sure, we can take it up.
Just so they don't have to come back after lunch.
This is quasi judicial, Commissioners. Commissioner Capps, any ex parte disclosures?
If I have any, they have been filed.
I don't have any, and they've been filed.
I filed the fact that I have none.
If I have any, they've been filed.
And Mr. Aguilar, have you passed on all of your pertinent materials to the clerk?
Copy of my work history is being turned in.
Excellent. Anyone who's going to be providing sworn testimony in this, please stand up, raise your right hand, and be sworn in.
Do you swear or affirm the evidence you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Please proceed, Mr. Aguilar.
I'm setting the timer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Luis Aguilar, Principal Planner for the Growth Management Department. I'm presenting a rezoning application for a property owned by 5000 Southwest Green Farms Lane, LLC. 5000 Southwest Green Farms Lane, LLC is requesting a zoning change from A2 Agricultural District to AG 20A General Agricultural District. The subject site is located at 5000 Southwest Green Farms Lane in Palm City, approximately 2 miles south of Southwest Martin Highway. This is an enlarged area of the site. The property is undeveloped. The future land use designation is agricultural. The adjacent properties on Southwest Green Farms Lane are agricultural as well. The zoning district is A2, Agricultural District. A portion of the property is subject to a covenant agreement, covenant number 286 to AG. Therefore, this request to rezone is considered mandatory per section 3.401.b. The proposed rezone area is approximately 111 acres. And there is one standard Category A zoning district available to implement the agricultural land use policies of the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan, which is the AG 20A General Agricultural District. This is the district that the applicant is requesting. And for comparison purposes, the existing A2 Category C zoning district is provided in detail on pages 2 through 6 of the staff report. These are the development standards for the AG 20A district, which is the minimum lot area, 20 acres, minimum lot width, 300 feet, the maximum height is 30 feet, and minimum open space is 50%. And these are the corresponding setbacks, which are 50 feet for front, rear, and side. These are the conditions supporting the requested General Agricultural District. The existing future land use designation of agricultural for the property and surrounding areas. The AG 20A district aims to implement the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan's policies for agricultural density in areas exceeding 20 acres. The AG 20A zoning district is compatible with the existing agricultural uses in the area. This matter was heard before the LPA on October 2nd, 2025. The LPA voted to approve 4-0. Development review staff have found 5000 Green Farms Lane rezoning application to comply with all applicable regulations and the Comprehensive Growth Management Plan as detailed in the staff report. We recommend move that the board receive and file the agenda item and its attachments, including the staff report as Exhibit 1, and move that the board adopt a resolution amending the Martin County Zoning Atlas to change the zoning district designation on the subject site from A2 Agricultural District to AG20A General Agricultural District. This concludes my presentation, and the applicant is here to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Aguilar? I have one. What's proposed on the property that cannot be accomplished under the A2 zoning?
Right now, we haven't received an proper application. Right?
It is a mandatory rezoning.
Why?
For the property.
A2 is a common zoning district in Martin County.
I'll try to help. Paul Schilling for the record. So we have had a pre-application meeting on this site, but we have not received a formal application. The requirement to rezone is the requirement to rezone to a Category A district is because there was a covenant previously approved, I believe in 1996, that covenanted to AG, but to answer your question, Commissioner, we haven't received a formal application, but we understand that potentially in the future there may be some type of vegetative facility.
That can't be built on A2.
Correct. It will trigger a site plan.
If I may, Elise Elder, Acting County Attorney, our LDRs require that if there's a covenant that they have to rezone, I believe. So this is a mandatory rezoning based on our LDRs because there is a covenant on the property.
Building in the lake.
And the LDR code is section 3.401B.
Mr. Capps?
So can we, just for the public's benefit, can we explain what a covenant is and what its purpose is?
So in the late 90s and early 2000s, for some reason, the county had covenants where they would enter into this covenant with property owners to assign zoning to the property. I'm not sure the details on how they did it or the legality of it, but we have those that exist throughout the county. So several years ago, because those are basically similar to contract zoning, there was an LDR change that requires any property owner to rezone their property if a covenant exists. But in the late 90s, that's how they assigned zoning through these covenants.
One more question about mandatory rezonings. Does that mean if you want to develop the property, you have to do the mandatory rezoning? Or does that mean, or is there like a timetable? I mean, if something's mandatory, it seems like you would need to get it done within a certain time frame.
So it's not a mandatory that it requires each property owner to rezone in a certain time, but if you want to come forward and do a site plan on your property, it becomes mandatory because you have to rezone it if you want to do a site plan, which is the circumstance now. So if they want to come forward with a site plan for anything, it requires a rezoning, and they're
The
doing.
prerequisite, it's like
Yes.
step one.
Correct.
In the process.
Correct.
Okay.
Any further questions?
He didn't state his name for the record.
George Missimer with Kotler and Hearing for the record. This meeting was advertised. I'll enter the affidavits in for the record. And I have been sworn in.
Motion to accept staff's recommendation.
Commissioner Heatherington?
I agree, that was my light, and I would
I
second it.
apologize.
George did a very nice job at the city of Stuart Seacoast, too.
Thank you.
I was there. You spoke too long, but you did a good job.
Mr. Fox?
Madam Chair, as this is a quasi judicial public hearing, we're required to ask for
Thank you
public.
very much. Would anyone from the public like to address us? Seeing none, there's a motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Now, we will take lunch break, and we will return for our 2 o'clock preset.